Ladies and gentlemen of the RNG Revolution, welcome to this week's episode of the RngCast. I, as always, am Buster Knuckle. Join me this week are...
This is your boy Raven.
And it is my esteemed honor to introduce to you the RNG Revolution, to the Podfather of myself, Buster Knuckle. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? It's been a long time since we've done podcasting businesses together. I birthed this little Buster from the womb, from the streets of the internet, where he was a poor little homeless boy, and then we brought him up to the ranks, and he was our replacement co-host on an old Destiny podcast that we did together until it eventually got burned, and then I think from those ashes, Buster self-resed that podcast into the RngCast that it is today. And here we are. We've come full circle. Only, no one's heard my voice on this show for 75 episodes, so I don't know what the fuck happened there. I think I just got lost in an LFG clan or something, but, so it goes.
It was all right, man. Yeah, basically... For the short, abbreviated, well, this is going to be a 2.5 hour long podcast anyway. The story goes, I listened to Tim's podcast, the old Agents of the Nine. And
which you can still technically find on Twitch.
You still. And I think on if you find it on Stitcher, you can go back past episodes before it turned into Fork in Your Ear. But they were talking one day about, well, if we don't have another host, what are we going to do? And I think I just emailed him or I sent him a message on Facebook, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we'll give you a tryout." Called me on, did the Skype call, what we do now, and pretended that it was an interview. And then about 45 minutes in, they were like, "Oh, by the way, we're recording. You're in. You're fine. Let's go." And we did 25 episodes total, and then the first great.
I'm going to pull it up for you. I'll give you the exact things. And you are correct. It is still available. If you find the Fork in Your Ear podcast, like the first, 20 episodes or so, I'm still pulling up the list, were the original Agents of the Nine. Scrolling. Let's see. We did a whopping... 18.
Okay.
We did 18 episodes, which I think you joined us in the fourth episode? No, you joined us in episode 5.
5, okay.
So there you go. You got the majority of them.
But the great Destiny drought of the first year Destiny drought kicked in, and the other co-host kind of fell out of Destiny, and things happen, shakeups happen, people leave, and then I got the bug. I was turned into a podcast addict, and times happen, and met Biz, had the idea, and started the RngCast, and been talking. Tim and I have been in communications since that time.
And, we still talk, and we played occasionally.
And he sent me a message and said, "Hey, dude, did you see the update for No Man's Sky?" And then the other day he was like, "Oh, by the way, I'll slightly raise my hand to be on the show." And I was like, "Why would I ever say no to the Podfather?" And
yes, my child.
Here we are.
Good.
There's only 2 Sith in the world: one master and one apprentice.
Exactly. That's a great reference. I'll accept that.
But it's always funny because Tim and I, we talk, and I'm like, "Dude, I'm so sorry for everything I did when I wasn't the producer of the podcast."
I remember your very first days, and you're just like, "How do I get... There's this noise. How do I get it out of my show? Because I hear it, and I don't know where to find it." And I'm like, my child, it is this. And you should get some recording software. And if you're really serious, you should get a mic.
Ta-da!
And here he is. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, so.
If you're really serious, you'd put up some soundproofing.
I'm moving in a week, so I'm going to get soundproofing too.
That's right. You actually mentioned that in the last show. You were talking about
Yep.
Was it the tiling? I think you said you wanted, or no?
Yeah.
What'd you say you were going to get?
I'm going to get the I think they're 2x2 or 2x7 whatever pieces of foam, and put it in the because I'm putting the desk and the computer with this equipment into a big closet.
Yeah.
So we have more room in the room. So I'm just going to put it around the basic 3 walls. So behind me you'll see something. I mean, obviously now it's just an empty bookshelf with one TARDIS, but yeah, I'm going to definitely have to get that. And that wasn't even my idea, because it's just going to be like an office for my girlfriend and I to use. And my girlfriend was like, why don't you just get some like soundproofing? I'm like, I fucking love you.
Yeah, there you go.
You might be the greatest girl ever.
Good girl. Yeah. I had I had different problems with my girlfriend last night, who ironically both our girlfriends' names are the same, which was always very surprising to me. No, my problem was I couldn't play No Man's Sky, because if I was playing No Man's Sky, that means I'd be playing No Man's Sky on the primary PS4, which is the only PS4 that has Horizon Zero Dawn. So I had to fucking buy my girlfriend Horizon Zero Dawn, and I still haven't played No Man's Sky update yet. I'm so bummed, because I decided to, get some sleep and put on my A game for this show.
I appreciate it. We've all had that day, though. I think each of us have had a drunk, hungover night. Des, I recall both of us having that.
Is he still here?
I'm alive.
Oh, okay. We're just checking your vitals.
Yes, I'm still here. I was just trying to recall. For some reason, my mind completely blanked out on what you said we had.
Drunk or hungover night after a drunken raid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've all had.
Did you succeed in the drunken raid?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right on.
I
Yeah.
think,
Wait, no, we didn't.
no,
We gave up.
No, I thought we beat orcs.
No, Volsic.
Oh, it was Vosik. Yeah, we failed miserably.
We were involved in 2 different drunk raids, and then the drunk raid
together.
We were both involved when ended up not being a drunk raid, because I was like an hour and a half late. I'm still sorry. But either way, I chugged 3 beers, in the span of 10 seconds?
Yeah.
So
just crack. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, caught up as punishment, or penance rather, and then we proceeded to act incredibly stupid in PvP for the next 5 hours.
Yeah, that was the infamous. I didn't have any mixer left, so I just used pre-workout. Don't suggest it.
Right on. I think, at least for me, there's a level of where you can drink and be awesome, or more awesome at video games, and then once you get over that hump, it's just all downhill from there.
Oh yeah, there's a law of diminishing returns for sure. There's a sweet spot, and then if you blow through a sweet spot just by a sip, it's just so. Tim, welcome.
Yeah. Did you want me to say more shit about myself? You keep saying my name.
You can if you want to, or you can wait till the end and give your pluggy plugs then. But ABP always be promoting. So if you want to let the people know a little bit about yourself, go ahead.
Well, I'm author, podcaster, gamer, and occasional streamer. Tim K.A. Trotter on the interwebs. I have a website where you can find my podcasts that I produce, one of which was co-created by your very own homegrown hero, Buster Knuckle. You can find my stuff at dynamicworksproductions.com, and there you can find Rising Tide, a Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, which I do almost weekly. It's been off the air since Agents of the S.H.I.E.L.D. went off, but we're getting back into the groove this week. In fact, I have a podcast to edit, which is not up as of yet. And then I also do the Fork in Your Ear podcast, which is a topical podcast, sort of just people getting together, talking about whatever, which is sort of, I would suppose, the RNG part of the RngCast, which Buster co-created with myself and Damien, who's also goes by Recognize on the Twitches, who's actually a sponsored Destiny Pro player, which is always still surprising to me that he's got that going on, but that's cool too. And then, of course, I'm an author. I wrote a book called The Citadel Arrival, which is available right now on iTunes, iBookstore, and Amazon Kindle for only $2.99 with free sample chapters available on each respective market. Same author name, Tim K.A Trotter. And that's where you can find all my shit. So there you go. Oh, and I guess if I'm particularly liked on this episode, you can, of course, connect with me on PSN. I'm Linux is the Demon, or Xbox Live Tim Space T, I think it is. And then I don't even know what the fuck my Switch name is. But there's one, but it's sort of not important right now, because Switch is online is a mess.
So now we got the introductions and plugs out of the way.
Yeah, I have to ask, what's the book about? Like, quick synopsis.
The gist of the book is takes place in a advanced future setting. There's like a guy who works at sort of like a fake or like a futuristic replacement UPS, and he's been saving up all year to go for a non-suable, basically Comic-Con-like thing at this place called the Citadel, which is like this epic tower in the middle of this city center, and he like goes to like nerd out and stuff. But then the place gets bombed, and he gets embroiled in a conspiracy that, may change the world. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Interesting. I'll definitely have to, at the very least, get the sample chapters to read, because I, for one, and probably the avid reader in waves when I can be. Not always.
It's also, just for yourself and your listeners, it's also a novella, which is it's basically a longer form short story. Very popular in the old 1940s and
got it.
Onwards.
Are those even a thing anymore? Really?
1940s? No.
No. I mean
we're in 2017.
Just novellas in general. Thank you. I believe I know what time it is.
I think the best example is, isn't it? I think the author, I don't read his stuff, but I heard about it on the interwebs. I think it was Robert Pattinson, launched his own app for like short stories that he wrote or co-wrote with like his underlings, but they called them something like weird modern like book delivery bases. I'm gonna Google right now. Somebody vamp.
But Des, I read it. It's worth the read.
Oh, cool, nice. But yeah, because most of your bigs that have been around for a while have actually, I guess, for reader preference, novellas aren't that too horribly obscure, because people like Stephen King, my favorite author, Fred Saberhagen, most of their works started, they started as basically like one-shots here and there and like basically like a few paragraphs.
Actually, that would be a good modernization, one-shots, because people you read that from film.
Yeah, that's true,
or
actually.
Games or whatever.
But
one-shot books.
Yeah.
Actually, shit, is that what it's called?
I don't know.
Books.
I know that's for mangas. For single chapter or single collection things.
Yeah.
They're called one-shots for sure.
Oh, I think I know what it's called. Hang on.
But, it's funny because novellas they actually worked up to.
Well, yeah, and if you look at like a lot of like classic science fiction writers like Robert Heinlein or even Asimov and stuff, all that stuff started as short stories.
Hey,
okay, I got it, and I got the author wrong. It's James Patterson, and it's Bookshots trademark.
Bookshots.
Yeah, and there's just like a shit ton of them.
That's a busy man, though, for real, man.
So,
like, if you actually hear like all the books that he has like freaking coming out, it's like, oh, this like long-standing like detective series I have is getting a new book coming out. Oh, hey, this junior reading like book I have coming out. Oh, hey, I have a coloring book coming out next week. It's like, Jesus Christ, man.
Not really. Yeah. Well, I think the difference in just looking at James Patterson's website on the Bookshots is it's like James Patterson presents Bookshots, and then there's like a big title, and then in lower text on the bottom is some other person's author name. But like I'm looking here, and there's Like, it scrolls for a while. Like, there's a lot of book shots.
That's interesting. That's cool. That might be.
But anyway, if you're a James Patterson reader, I guess my book is like a book shot.
Not too heavy of a read if you're looking for a nice light read.
Yeah, exactly.
Book shots. There we go.
I'm not making this up.
Oh. Yeah, I cringe at that. Just call them what they are. Don't try to reinvent the wheel.
I don't know. The best thing you got is, like it says, one shots.
It does say book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says book shot. See.
Yeah, but like I said, it was actually extremely popular with science fiction because that's what Fred Saberhagen basically started with, and the first 4 of his Berserker series, which was a science fiction series, were actually collections of novellas, basically. Very few of them were actually directly tied together. I mean, they all had the Berserkers in common, which were basically his Berserker series was kind of dystopian-esque, sort of. Okay. Picture Star Wars about 10 years before Star Wars. Except for instead of an evil empire, it's planet-sized machines that are programmed since the beginning of time, or the galaxy's life, pretty much, to exterminate all biological life. So kind of like Mass Effect.
I was literally about to say, wait, isn't that the plot of Mass Effect?
Yeah, but what, at that point in time, 20 to 30 years before? I mean, and it's hilarious because in one of the Berserker books, Fred Saberhagen actually describes one of these world-destroying machines basically as a Death Star, because it's a giant sphere that destroys a planet. And it's like, wow, this book came out 15 years before Star Wars. Huh.
Well, you know what's funny about that? So I saw the movie Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's based on a comic book, a very famous French comic book from 1967, and almost shot for shot, Valerian is not the movie, but the original comic book. It's Star Wars. They go around in this ship that's shaped strangely like the Millennium Falcon. There's a girl in gold bikini. There's a Jabba the Hutt character. There's Death Star thing. There's sort of allusions to a Force. There's a ton of articles online right now because the movie came out, and it's it probably inspired / got stolen from Star Wars. It's actually kind of strange because we all grew up with Star Wars, and it's Star Wars is Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And it is the most original thing. And then as you get older, it's oh, wait a minute. Well, there's some other country and some other dude's ideas with art. And gosh, those shots sure shit look like Star Wars A New Hope.
I know, right? Of course, I mean, that and you hear about Star Wars, nothing really about Star Wars is original. Because, I mean, as we found out, the technical aspects, which was at one point in time the most original part of Star Wars, no, it's not. Most of their sword fighting was kendo-styled to a degree. Super kendo-styled in the prequel trilogy, of course. And then the flight sequences were all ripped off from, World War II, jet scenes. So it's there really wasn't much original besides the characters to Star Wars.
But I'll say something, having written a book, is there was something that I learned. I think it was in college in some writing class, in some book somewhere that I can't remember. But I still remember the quote as being really good because I used to be kind of a jerk to my own writing about oh gosh, this is not original and I'm going to change it so that it's not this other thing, because I wanted to be conscious of that and do my own thing. And I learned that it's this guy in this textbook that I was reading was saying, well, what you have to realize and let go of as a creator of anything is that you're already using somebody else's language to describe what you're describing. So you're already using other people's ideas, and you need to kind of just let go of that this is this kind of thing, because you're already using freaking words from other things that have already been created by somebody else. And I was like, oh shit, that's deep.
I was going to say, that's like, real deep.
The very foundation of your ideas are hijacked from someone else's ideas.
Yeah, it's like your ideas are not your own. Get out.
Yeah, that's actually a philosophy I've had for a while. It's like, there's really legitimately no originality, like whether you intend to steal from someone or not. It's like just the sheer amount of ideas in the world is like, it's not really possible to be 100% original. Like, there's similarities, like I said, without even intending. And let's see, you have a successful book out, which congrats on that.
Well, I would call it successful. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
It's out.
It exists. Yes,
I have started my own 4 separate occasions and points and times of my life. Never got past the first chapter, basically. I had, like, the rough outlines, like, of what would happen up until at least the end. Like, I had it pre-thought out at least to midway about 4 times. Start writing the first chapter, and it's like, okay, I'm done now. Something would happen, or...
The thing about... Oh.
Sorry. No, I was gonna cap it off for you. I think the best thing to say about everything that me and Raven have been talking about is that it's not necessarily the original ideas that are important, although when you see them, it's definitely awesome. I think it's about the melting pot and how the amalgam of them create something that seems fresh, or at least is acceptable by other people. And I think that there's probably a pretty good, I guess, argument for how Destiny came together. You know, I mean, we look at it's built on the bones of Halo, literally, and it's very Star Warsy, but it's also sort of Mass Effect-y, but it's also like dabs of Star Trek, and I suppose there's some Dark Souls element there, you know, and then there's also like a bunch of stuff about, you know, the Guardians being dead and they're resurrected somehow. And like it's actually probably a pretty interesting point to look at, since the trailers for Destiny 2, particularly the one with Zavala, was like, you know, you die, you get up, you do it again, you know, kind of stuff. And it's like, I wonder if that's gonna factor more into the plot in Destiny 2, you know?
Oh my god. I'm sorry, but I think I just had the most amazing idea yet, and I don't know why I haven't thought of it before.
Well, write it down.
Someone needs to take the Zavala trailer.
Yes.
Like, completely, like, cut down the audio and dub over it, basically, Queens Who Wants to Live Forever. Who wants to live forever? Yes, they have that song. So, that would probably be pretty amazing.
I was going to say, in the whole stealing conversation, that I mean, there's so many people in the world that parallel thinking will happen. I mean, stand-up comics go through it, writers go through it, and a buddy of mine brought up, because he knows I'm a classic rock fan, he's like, do you know Led Zeppelin stole all their songs? I'm like, I wouldn't say all their songs. And he was like, listen, and it was the beginning of Stairway to Heaven, you know, the iconic, just the guitar, the notes. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, no, listen to this. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, you do realize you can't invent more notes, right? Music is a very set language. It's sort of like speaking. Yeah. And I'm like, I get it. It sounds very similar. And they're like, well, what? I'm like, do you know all music is basically stolen from, like, you know, blues? Everything comes from blues, basically. It's the same thing. And he was like, I don't know, man. I don't respect Led Zeppelin anymore. I'm like, you might want to take that back, because you got to respect the classics. But, I mean, yeah, Tim, you capped that off pretty well, how Destiny is built on the bones of Halo and very similar to other games. And speaking of Destiny, the last Iron Banner happened. My question to you, fellas, did you play?
I guess
not
long
Banner.
silence. Oh, okay.
I was about to say, not Banner, sadly.
So I haven't played Banner, and I haven't been keeping up with the last Destiny stuff. However, I do have a bunch of interesting anecdotes and stories to tell you about, I guess, the last, I don't know, big chunks of playtime with the original Destiny, because I've been trying to, and I failed ultimately. Let's just get to the cut point. I failed ultimately to get my girlfriend into Destiny in hopes that she'll come over into Destiny too, so then I don't have to have the, you know, the girlfriend argument of like, why aren't you spending any time with me? And it's like, well, honey, you know, there's this new girl, and she's got a 2 on her, you know. But no, I played with her through Destiny 1. I rolled a new character. I decided to play Hunter, which is against everything in my core belief system to play Hunter. But I played a Hunter just for the new experience in OG Destiny, and we played vanilla Destiny from the beginning up until somewhere in the middle of like all the Cabal missions towards the end, which I was kind of bummed about. Like, we were really close to the end. And then eventually she's just sort of like, yeah, like, I like shooting shit. I like collecting crap. But, and here's the kicker. The thing that turned her off was the story being completely incoherent. And I was like, oh, shit. Well, I mean, I can't fault you for that.
Yeah.
You know, she was like, I know we're doing stuff, and I know we're going to go kill something that is bad. And I think things are cool, but I don't know why I'm doing it. And I'm like, shit. But it was also
so
weird.
Close to actually getting a coherent story.
Yeah. I mean, like, I accepted that crushing blow, but at the same time, it was also weird going back through because I hadn't played vanilla Destiny's content after they restructured it, you know, because when Taken King came out, or actually just before it, wasn't it? They redid all the missions with Nolan North as the Ghost, and they restructured everything, and they took some stuff out of vanilla Destiny, like the Sword of Crota and other Dark Below-ish missions, and put them in Dark Below. Which really fucked me up because I'd played those missions so many times. I was like, oh, we need to go here, honey. And she's like, no, I don't have that blinking on my destination. And I'm just like, well, what does the game tell you? So, I don't know. It was weird. It was really weird going back through. And it did make more sense, even as a veteran player. But I guess to a newbie, it was just too confusing, which sucks. It really sucks because obviously we all got bit by a Destiny bug at some point to greater or lesser degree, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It would hurt saying that there's no story. Like, you should just play Destiny 2. Just play Homecoming. Just play Homecoming and see how you feel. Maybe that will do it.
She watched me play it when the beta came out. Because I was like, straight up, I was like, look, this just came out. I'm totally ignoring you tonight. and then she was like, she was actually about to start bitching, and then she's like, is it a beta? I was like, yes. She's like, okay, go do your thing.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Yeah.
I had to get up early. I was like, shh, I gotta be quiet. So
did it stop you from freaking out about stuff?
No, I wasn't. I mean, it was a beta, so I took it at face value. I didn't pass any judgments based upon it. It wasn't like I was like, no, this game's going to be terrible, because, you know, the story mission played out well. Thematically, It was good. I mean, the cutscenes were great. Gaul is a fantastic villain.
Yeah, I'm liking Gaul.
I mean, the disrespectful foot push at the end. I mean,
yeah, he's basically Harrison Ford from shit. What's that movie? Air Force One. You know, get off my plane.
Yeah,
and just kicks him off.
Him grabbing the ghost after it fell. You know, as soon as he grabbed it, in my head, I was thinking. Remember when the ghost told you that whole long spiel when you're on the back of the catch, and he's like, "This is where I found you." You know, that whole thing. I remembered that, and then, you know. You drop Ghost. I was like, oh, cool. You know, it has all the thematic elements. Him reaching, you know, your guardian reaching, not saying a word, and everybody's losing their goddamn mind because there's no voice. I'm like, come on, who cares? The silent...
That, and it's like a lot of people haven't heard of. Like, it's like the the silent protagonist genre is like becoming a completely foreign thing, even though it totally isn't.
No. I mean, and for me, I'd rather have the voice of the Guardian in my head, because it's always funny to me, because I always put the voice as Bobcat Goldthwait. Just, I always have him as the voice of my Guardian for some reason, because I just think it's hilarious. But, you know.
I'm being completely honest, I don't know who that is.
Have you ever seen Police Academy?
I have not. I'm going to hang my head in shame now.
I can't replicate his voice, sadly.
No one can.
Awkward.
I'll send you a link, Tim. I'll send you a YouTube video of him, of basically his...
Okay.
He has a very singular voice, put it that way. It's humorous.
He was huge in like the 70s and 80s.
He also has one of the funniest stories I've ever heard being told. He's a stand-up comic now. He was then.
Oh, right on.
But yeah, he's hilarious. I didn't play Iron Banner. I haven't played Destiny in a while because, you know, every now and then it's good to purge your system. And I listened to my illustrious co-host, Des, and found other games existed. And now I play other games. No, I played No Man's Sky. I played No Man's Sky last night because Tim was like, dude, they have a new update.
Fuck, did you?
You can see ghosts, like little blobs, and there's like all kind. Yeah, oh man, the terrain system is awesome. You can dig around your base. You can put a moat. Oh, it's so cool.
Really?
That game
damn it, I haven't played it yet. That's like what I'm going to do after we're done with this.
The game is slowly turning into the game they promised, just minus the dinosaurs.
Yeah. Have you played it since the last 2 updates at all?
No. This was the first time I played it. And the ship...
Oh my god.
So
there's like so much new stuff then for you. You have like easily triple the amount of stuff because in, what was it, December or November, whatever, they added the base building and freighters, and then March of this year they added rovers, and amongst all that stuff they added like tons of new shit to build and tons of new stuff and all of everything. But everybody's pretty freaked out about this new update.
I did actually read an article not long ago that apparently 2 people were capable of finding one another in No Man's Sky.
Yeah, so the thing with that is people were always supposed to be able to meet up with each other in the original No Man's Sky. And whether this is true or not is up to debate.
I was about to say, wait, in what mindset? Because they've been talking about like this limitless number of stars that's like...
Well,
the sheer amount.
That's totally true. Like, that is not... There's no denying the 9 point whatever quintillion worlds that you can explore. that is a real thing that you can actually do in No Man's Sky. But as from the launch of Vanilla Destiny, because it just had its anniversary here this last week, 1 year, you were supposed to be able to meet up with players, and you were supposed to be able to see them. Allegedly, a handful of people did back before, I guess, the server broke. Because the creator of the game shot out this tweet of the server programmer, and it was one dude, and he was basically just hiding under a desk, under a blanket, rocking back and forth crying, because his code completely broke, apparently. And that's the alleged story going forward up until now. And now it's straight up like, you can see other people. It's basically a still work in progress. Like, you don't see bodies, you don't see their ships, but you see like a ghost orb of themselves floating around. But you can explore together, you can talk to each other, and you can interact. And they've said more is coming later. But it straight up supports it right now. You can find each other. They put in a Stargate system, which is badass because it works just like Stargate from the movies and TV show.
It does.
Like literally, like straight up, they might even get sued for it. Like there's a ring, there's freaking signs around it.
No. It's a Fargate.
Fargate.
Right? It's a Fargate. Very completely legally different.
Yeah, except they call it a Stargate in the game.
They do call it a Stargate. Go to the Stargate.
They're like, you know what? It's a fucking Stargate.
It doesn't make the whoosh sounds. It makes like a sound. That's the only difference. It's very.
Oh, have you gone to one already?
I have one on my home planet.
Damn it, Mike.
I have one on my home planet. That's fine. Everybody knows. I knew you were going to do it anyway, eventually.
Sorry, I'm just still in a state of hype about it, because I was like, I worked 10 hours yesterday, I'm like, I'm going to play No Man's Sky. Yes. And then, like, I get home, and, like, my girlfriend, who was supposed to be working until 6:45, is there at, like, 4:30, and I'm just like, fuck! Yeah. And then, in my first world problems of having a gamer girlfriend, which is both a blessing and a curse, it's like, okay, well, I'll just buy you Horizon on my old PS4, because I gave her my OG PS4, and I got a Pro last year. And, you know, because I had Horizon loaded up on my OG PS4, but then as I loaded it up, I was like, oh no, fuck, I deleted it last weekend because we were playing Dying Light. And I was like, God damn it! Fuck you, original 500 gigabyte space on my original PS4.
Man.
So, but I had to download it, and that took a while.
But yes, it's awesome.
Oh, God. We need to meet up then, obviously.
Need to find each other somehow in the 9 quadrillion planets. If that ever happens, it'd be awesome. And
yeah. Are you still in the first universe?
I think so. I'm heading towards the center of the galaxy. Still.
Okay. Because you know there's more than one universe, right?
I fucking know.
So there's...
Fucking no.
Okay.
They changed a lot of the graphics were updated too, because I the home planet system now. Mm-hmm. I have a home planet, and I went back to it, and I was like, this looks totally different. I like it.
Like your original Crash Landing world?
No. Where you build your base, it now becomes your home planet, and you can teleport between where you are to the home planet, so you can dump resources and hop back. So
yeah, I'm well aware that stuff was in the November update.
Yeah. That's the last time I played it.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's like so much new stuff then. Like, I mean, yesterday's like I assume you've not played No Man's Sky, Raven. As he's AFK.
Or he fell asleep.
Sorry, I had a slight hiccup in my connection there.
Okay.
So everything was kind of fuzzy.
Sorry. Are you better now? Or are we better now? Oh, okay. I was asking if you've ever played No Man's Sky.
No. I don't have an issue with the kinds of games, but I'm not... It's a bit too much of a game of possibility for me, and I can easily get lost.
Definitely that. It is 100% that.
Because there is my infamous, the last Elder Scrolls game I ever played was Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind.
Good man. I have so many memories.
Yeah, I bought it as it was like the game and its 2 expansions. Mm-hmm. So in a bundle, like pretty cheap at Walmart. So I picked it up and was like,
I think we all did.
Yeah, so I'm gonna play this game. So for a week straight, I'm sitting there and I'm playing this game, and I'm like, I look at the map at the end, and I'm like, pretty much like traversed like half of this freaking world, and that's when I realized I never technically started the main quest.
Yep, that's about right.
Sounds like an Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah. Oops.
Yep. Yeah. While there's less quests in No Man's Sky, although I don't know now, since they allegedly added 30 hours of story quest content, which is a lot, especially for that game.
That's a lot.
I just have to quickly say my favorite and best memory of the Elder Scrolls games, even though I played a bunch of them, and my girlfriend is absolutely Skyrim everything, like shirts and books and anyway. But my Morrowind was my first Elder Scrolls experience on the original Xbox. God bless that console for being able to run that game.
Barely.
But there's like a town, like a largest to small size town that I think's like 3 towns away, like at the very beginning, like on your first main quest line. And I remember being in this small town. I can't remember the name of it, but I remember it was the first time there was like a sheriff or something, and he got pissed at you for like stealing stuff.
Yeah.
And the very first thing I stole was a pillow, and I got thrown in jail for like, I don't know, a week or something, and I like lost experience points and health and stuff, and I was like, what? I got thrown in jail for being a pillow. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to dedicate myself, and I'm going to become the best pillow thief this town has ever seen. And so for like, much like you, like a week straight with this game, I would just build up my sneak and sneak into people's homes at night and take their pillows. And of course, back in that game, it didn't really have a physics engine, so you could just take the pillows and they'd just be sleeping there with their heads in the air.
Yeah, that was just before the craze of physics engines.
Yeah, and I think what was it in Oblivion? The cheese wheel.
Yeah.
Mountains. Yeah, that killed your frame rate and save files. But so I took all these pillows, and I don't know, the cops found out or something, and they chased me down into somebody's basement or something. And so there, I started stacking pillows because they had no physics stuff, so you could just stack them on top of each other, and they'd be like a brick wall. And so I built this pillow fort in this basement. And these cops came in, and there was like one pillow out of place because you could just remove it from the stack, and it would just hold there magically. And I had like no... I don't know, I think I just had a fist in the end, and I just beat these cops to death from my pillow fort hole until I was eventually victorious. I think it took me like 2 hours. I was just so proud of myself. I was like, this is the greatest game.
Oh, the joys of open world gaming.
Right.
In Fallout 3, I collected every garden gnome I saw. And outside of my house in Megaton, I put the garden gnomes just spreading out like the creep from
right on
from StarCraft. And they would get knocked over, and I would stack it back. And one day I was just playing. I had like a little path, like a little footpath, and the AI doesn't follow your footpath; it will just walk through, just knocking down garden gnomes. And I was just playing, stacking them up. People would walk by, stacking them up, and I'm like, how am I going to stop this? And even in Fallout 3, there was the collision, and I had to wall off a section of the town with stuff so they couldn't get to it. So there's only one way in, one way out from my little area. And I was playing, and my girlfriend was like, why are there garden gnomes all over this town? I'm like, oh, I did that. She's like, how many garden gnomes are in this game? I'm like, oh, a bunch apparently. Because, I mean, look, and I walked up to the place, and she was like, Jesus Christ. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, how many hours do you have in this game? I'm like, oh, the first time or the second time? And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, oh, my PlayStation 3 shit out and died. And then I bought another PlayStation 3, and I had like 900 hours. And then I had another 300 hours. And she's like, that's ridiculous. And then I told her how many hours I had in Destiny recently. And she was like, that's just how you play games. I'm like, yeah, very true. Very true. But those games are time sinks.
Yeah. It's kind of I think it's a weird anomaly that some of the best games also happen to be like the most expansive, you know? I mean, if we look at the total of the expansions in Destiny, there's a lot of content there. Even if we looked at vanilla No Man's Sky, there was still a lot of content. I know people complain that they didn't, but honestly, those people were bitches and didn't go far enough and don't know what they're talking about.
I mean, that's like the people that say that vanilla Destiny had no story, which
no, it had a story.
Does have a
it was just all over the place.
Exactly. It was a poorly written train wreck, but by God, there was a story. Not the Grimoire cards, not like all the extra crap you can read. There was. It was bad, but it was there.
Yeah.
But jumping back to Destiny, this is the last week in Trials. By the time this comes out, I think I'm going to release it on Sunday. You'll have, 2 days a day to play Trials. All the maps are rotating. It's every single map just rotating. Enjoy it. Good luck, Guardians.
To clarify, is it every single Trials map that's been in the rotation? Not every single map, because I can't imagine playing Trials on oh God, what's the first one? It was in the beta in the open area with the vehicles on the moon.
On the First Light? Oh Jesus!
They had First
Light.
They
haven't done that.
They have done that.
Yeah, they've done that for Trials.
And that's in the rotation too. Any map that ever was a Trials map is now there.
Okay. Well, shit. Okay.
Going out with a bang, literally.
Sure.
So now we got that out of the way. Back to the other games talk.
Which I'm going to go ahead and apologize to a lot of people. I'm probably going to disappear a little bit because I have refound a game that
that sounds like you're playing right now.
No. Purveyors of our Discord will probably already see the tag because Discord is a tattletale when you're playing a game on PC. But now I have rediscovered Planescape Torment. And that is one of those. You want to talk about like an expansive game? Like, if you remember like Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2.
Oh, yeah, Dark Alliance. Hell yeah.
Planescape Torment follows that style of gameplay and is about a 40 to 60 hour, I believe, campaign playthrough. But it actually has a more narrow narrative because you're actually following a specific person, like one specific like person. But it's a different story because, of course, it's the Planescape setting for D&D, which is like the multiverse of D&D.
Sure.
So like your alignment can change your ending, like whether and your alignment is actually done differently because it's not something you choose at the beginning of the game, but it's something that gets modified by the choices you make.
Oh, so it's fluid.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I mean,
so
it was basically
would you say it's more like Fable, where the choices are real time, or more like Mass Effect, where it's select this option?
Yeah. I'm gonna say more Mass Effect / kind of like Knights of the Old Republic. Like the decisions you make, there are certain key decisions that you can make and certain paths that you can go.
Okay,
and it's an incredible story, which actually just recently got a spiritual sequel or successor called Torment: Tides of Numenor, on which is actually available on like PS4 and Xbox One, I believe PC as well. I'm not 100% sure about that, which, again, it's like that isometric top-down like view. It's only like 1 gigabyte to download, but still like 40 hours of freaking gameplay. But one of the people that developed Planescape Torment actually worked on the new Torment, but they couldn't get the D&D rule set to use from Wizards, so they had to use like another campaign setting, basically, which is why it's not Planescape, but rather the Tides of Numenor, which, hilariously, the campaign setting that they decided to use was actually created by one of the people that came up with the Planescape like campaign setting. So it's basically like a perfect fit for a spiritual successor, like just through and through. But like I said, I've downloaded it, and it's a slightly enhanced version, so it works a little better on modern computers. But just the fact that my computer, this little piece of crap laptop, can run it like perfectly, it's like I'm going to lose. Like, so if I can find an easy way to record it, that's going on YouTube, because I'm definitely going to, because that is like, that was my favorite D&D game when I was a kid. Like, just legit.
I think all three of us have played a Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, because I know, Tim, you put your first D&D experience online, right? As like a...
they were Forking Your Ear episodes, actually.
Yeah.
They were the ones... There was a long hiatus. I think it was after you left. Points, virtual fingers, and eyes to the internet. And then I was like, well, shit, I haven't done an episode in a while. I guess I'll do this. Yeah, I actually did... I did 2 or 3 of them. And then I had lots of plans to do more. And then my 2017 has just been really fucked up in the life department. And I haven't even talked to those guys. And it was also weird because I've never actually played Dungeons and Dragons, and yet I've DM'd them. So it's like,
yeah, his first ever game he DM'd, which is amazing if you know that system or that kind of shit. Like, typically to DM you have to be a seasoned, crazy, rule-knowing player, and Tim was like, I'll just DM. I think you messaged me and was like, do you have any tips for me? I'm going to DM my first game, and I was like, don't play first. You did great. I'm going to be honest. I listened.
You just need the right You just need the right, because apparently a lot of people disregard the fact that DM materials,
Yeah.
they have like pretty much every situation.
Yeah.
There. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah, your screen has
Like Dungeon Master
everything.
guides are ridiculously like
Thorough.
I mean, especially by the time like, because I mean, when D&D was owned by TSR, there was a couple people that were basically playing their game and helping it evolve. The more people got involved. I mean, by the time 2.0 came out for D&D, they had already had like dozens of people like playtesting and crap like that. And then Wizards took it over, which is an even more ginormous freaking company. And once the 3.0 rolled around, it's like, legitimately, I haven't actually seen much change between 3 to 5. I'm going to say, like, there hasn't been, not like the change from like D&D 2.0 to D&D 3.0. I have not seen that change since Wizards took over.
Yeah.
Like, there's been like smaller steps, which sadly, there's been a lot of steps too. It's like, holy crap. Here's D&D 3.0. I mean, it took us like 15 years to go from like D&D to 2.0, and then it's like another, what,
Now they're on
10-ish?
5. Now they're on 5.
Yeah, like 5 or... It was like, yes, from the late 90s, like, here's 3.0. Here's 3.5. Here's 4.0. It's 4.5. Here's 5. It's like, Jesus, people.
Yeah, and then there's a subset of people who worked for Wizard of the Coast that made their own company, Paizo, that was like, it'll be like Dungeons, like the D&D system 3.73 is how Pathfinder is, which is my preferred rule set and game.
That is also the D&D that I have DM'd, and also spent a bunch of time learning about and watching videos on. And speaking of that, because I had interest on it and I'd sort of forgotten about it because I haven't DM'd this year at all, which is sad, and I missed the group and stuff and all that sort of thing. But when I was looking up shit for Pathfinder, and I was like, how to be a better Pathfinder DM and all this stuff, their new sci-fi
Starfinder?
Starfinder. Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say Starjammer is a D&D thing.
I'm so fucking excited for Starfinder. Even though I don't have time to DM or play, like just the ideas behind Starfinder and everything I've read about it and heard, it just sounds so badass, and that it also somehow ties into Pathfinder story-wise, and also that it's sci-fi, and I maybe like sci-fi given the fact that I talk about Destiny and No Man's Sky, which is the most sci-fi-est game ever, and wrote a fucking science fiction book.
I'm about to say, you wrote a sci-fi book too, which probably helps.
Maybe I like it. Maybe. Just that.
Tim, a little suggestion. If you like Pathfinder, listen to the Glass Cannon podcast. It's an actual play podcast. It's really fucking great. Necessary Evil. Here's your second shout-out in a row for Highberry. I think the way they're going to tie Starfinder in with Pathfinder is Galarian is going to be a planet you could possibly go to, which would make a pretty awesome, like, kind of a collaboration mesh game if you think about it. A spaceship lands in the middle of your Pathfinder scenario.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh shit, there's a fucking ship, let's go. But
yeah, I mean, as a DM who's only DM'd 1.5 campaigns, I started making my own campaign because, like, in talking to the guys, and of course this was last fall, and whatchamacallit, Stranger Things was all the rage, and is also a great Netflix series if you haven't seen it.
Still have yet to watch it.
Good God, if you're a fucking D&D dude, just fucking watch that fucking show. Like, for real. Like, just do it. Like,
Might get around to it, maybe.
Like, the opening scene is these kids playing D&D. like no joke. Like, it's a very good show. Very good. So I guess you guys haven't seen it. Anyway, I was going to do a campaign involving that, and basically with my current Pathfinder people, I was just going to, like, rip them into an alternate dimension, and we were going to have this mechanic where we flipped back between, basically like the light dark world mechanic from Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, like flip back between a Pathfinder campaign and this campaign that I was creating.
Oh Nice.
I don't know. It sounded awesome in my head. I never finished it for obvious reasons. So, I don't know. Maybe that's ambitious.
You should look into one of my favorite campaign or systems, rather, of all times, which, I haven't looked much into Pathfinder, so I don't know like the deeper lore of that. But 3.5 was, or 3 and 3.5 were like my D&D jam. So mechanic-wise, I know I love it. But when it comes down to like story and the possibility of whatever you want meshing into a thing, nothing will ever beat Rifts.
Oh my god! I had a feeling you were going to say Rifts. Rifts was dope.
Rifts was basically, which actually hilariously, their current material that they're coming out with now, which they're actually still coming out with material for, is actually revolved around what happened, like before. It's basically like a prequel of what made the Rifts world what it was. But up until these like books started coming out, all we knew about the Rifts world was.
So, can you explain what the Rifts world is? I would assume it has something to do with portals.
I'm trying to. I'm not good at segues, but I'm trying.
Okay.
But I'm heading right into it. But
okay, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. But no, basically, Rifts is basically a modern day world that at one point in time a cataclysm happened that basically wiped out a very large chunk of the population. It never specified whether it was a nuclear catastrophe or what, but all we know is that the mass death of this event kickstarted the ley lines that are across Earth, and thus reopened links and gateways to other worlds and dimensions. During this catastrophe, Atlantis came back. During this catastrophe, like the Greek gods, the Norse gods, they were all able to come back and contact Earth again through these ley lines and these nexuses that the ley lines would make. And that's like the energy of Rifts is like, instead of like a mana system, you pull your energy from the ley lines, essentially. And there's, I mean, we're talking, like I said, there's materials for pantheons, there's materials for your fantasy settings, there's also like high technology, like I'm talking like Gundam battle suits, basically, level of science fiction. And like I said, it's all made to mesh and mix however you want. And there's even like early like conversion systems of bringing things like from a D&D setting. It's like, well, this is how a D&D creature is converted into our world. So I mean, it was just, it's like basically the most free form of system.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because you don't even have to be in Rift's Earth. You can actually be in any part of the multiverse or your own little thing, because it all just supports it so well.
And you can play a biotech. You can the way they explain like the traditional fantasy races, the elves, the dwarves, the gnomes, all that, is that when the ley lines opened, it activated latent genetic mutations inside your body and sped you forward in evolution. And that's how you got the basic gnomes, elves, dwarves, all that kind of shit. They have these guys called juicers. Think Bane.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they are.
It's legitimately like an entire class dedicated to
being Bane.
These narcotics that buff them out and make them go berserk.
Right on.
They have crazies, which are guys that have brain implants. They implanted stuff in they can implants in their brains. Each one gives you a specific, like, there's a system for plus and minuses. For every plus, you have to have an equal amount of minus. So, like, it could give you a +3 intelligence or +3 charisma, but you might be afraid of water.
Yeah. Rifts had a system of, like, it was basically like a White Wolf, like Vampire the Masquerade. There was a very, like, checks and balance system that you can use. But cool. Yeah, it was just very open. Like, you had leyline knights that literally, like, if they basically had this like freaking the stipulation basically that if they stood inside of a ley line, they almost had infinite power or infinite energy within the ley line. because they just drew their energy directly from ley lines, unlike anything else. But yeah, it was a bunch of interesting classes. Like I said, just the fact that it was so open and the campaign was so diverse because they had like this basically, think Brotherhood of Steel from Fallout, based in the ruins of Chicago, and that was like their covenant, I believe they called them. And they were very racist against what they would come to term as DBs, which were dimensional beings. Anything that basically wasn't native to our world. But yeah, they had all kinds of scary crap too. I mean, vampires, what they called alien intelligences, which were things that...
Cthulhu.
Yeah. I mean, this is like they went into like Cthulhu type stuff of formless, writhing tentacle masses that can take over the world, and they wanted to. So yeah, like I said, it's definitely like one of my favorite settings just because of its limitlessness, and actually made a campaign where me and a friend, where I made an adventure, and he made a Belmont. Because there was, like Castlevania.
Yeah, I was going to say Castlevania. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he made a Belmont. It was going to be like a vampire-centric, because Rifts had a material called Millennium Trees. And Millennium Trees, like anything made from the wood of Millennium Tree, did normal damage to like normal things. But as soon as they came in contact with vampires or alien intelligences or basically anything evil, they did like triple damage. So we basically made like the Belmont whip made out of this material in the Rift world because it just fit so perfectly.
Those
groovy
Palladium games, if you want if you want to dig
they have like I said, they still support the older Rift stuff, which like I said is kind of mystery, and but like I said, a lot of their current publications are actually like going into like the very close of the Cataclysm, which don't they call it Cataclysm? I think like Rift's Cataclysm.
Well, yeah, I think they refer to it in the system as like the first Cataclysm.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that we got the RPG talk out the way, not really. We can always go back to it. So Dash, you've been playing Planescape Torment, right? That's what it was
playing
called?
a bit of it, yeah. Planescape Torment.
Tim, what have you been playing?
Oh, it's such a loaded question. So, I primarily... it's been a toss-up between whatever's on my Nintendo Switch, which right now is my second playthrough. I am playing ARMS and Splatoon. So, I'm gonna... This is like the nerdiest, laziest thing. So, first of all, I fucking love the Nintendo Switch. And anybody who's played the Nintendo Switch also loves the Nintendo Switch, even if they hated Nintendo beforehand. Nintendo Switch is an amazing game console, and I hope Nintendo dominates with it. And that's not to take away any love from my PS4. It's just the Switch is awesome in the fact that I can... So I got one of those, and this was just this week too, so it's like, it's ultra nerdy and lazy. I got one of those like arm things. It's like a bendable steel arm thing that's like used to prop up like an e-reader or an iPad, so it like attaches to your bed and you can be laying in bed and like have it above you. And because the Switch is like goes into a handheld console mode, and then you can take the controllers off, I have the Switch above my head, like 5 inches away from my face, while I'm lying in bed with a controller in each hand, usually playing until I go sleep. And on the one hand, that is the greatest fucking video game fantasy of all time. Like, it's fucking awesome. But on the other hand, I find that like I fall asleep so fucking fast because it's like too comfortable. And it's weird because I've grown up like hunched over like a hunchback, even though I'm not hunchbacked at all. On like the original Game Boy and like Sega's Game Gear and all this stuff where you're like hunched over with your face shoved into the screen, curled into a ball, or using lights on your Game Boy Advance that doesn't have backlight or any of that shit. So it's like, it's also kind of surreal at the same time, because it's like, oh, here I am playing a full Zelda game in glorious, really good 3D on this battery-powered, ultimate portable video game device. It's just a really good experience. But aside from that amazing comfort factor, like, I've been playing Zelda on hard mode, basically. It's not actually called hard mode. They call it something dumb like hero mode or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of funny because Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is probably the hardest Zelda game out of the box on normal, which is, like, since the very first one, because it gives no fucks about killing you, like, 2 seconds after you step out on the world. Like, oh, I'm going to kill this first enemy. Oh, no, it killed me. Shit. Maybe this is a different type of game, because it has a little bit of that... I'd hate to say, because it is Legend of Zelda, and it's a very old series, I'd hate to say that it has a little bit of Dark Souls. I think probably the way Nintendo states it is it has much more of the original NES Zelda, where it's hard as shit out of the box right in it. But it's a very good thing, because like my girlfriend, who, hate to say this, and I'm sorry if she ever listens, she loves video games, but she's not great at them. like she's beat Skyrim and she's beat Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but like something that would take probably any of the three of us, a couple of go-arounds or something that might be a little difficult, might, take her several hours. But she'll be like, fuck you, I'm gonna get it! I'm gonna do it! Like, I'm gonna kill this person, or I'm gonna do this quest or something, and I don't need your help, and shut up. Kind of thing. So I've been playing Zelda in hard mode, which is, it's actually really genuinely hard, which is actually kind of fun because it makes you be very methodical, and it almost turns it into a survival game, because like if you don't kill the enemies right away, they start regenerating health, and your weapons break in this game. Yeah. So it's it's like if you haven't planned your attack on like a single enemy, you're basically gonna die. And to illustrate the differences right off the bat, so like in normal Zelda Breath of the Wild, you can like walk out of a cave and you meet the first basic enemy, and you've got like a tree branch, and that's all you have on you. And you can die there, or you can kill him with a tree branch and then get his axe. In hard mode, you start in a cave, you come out of a cave. You come out of the cave, there's that same dude, but he's about 5 tiers higher in terms of like, compared to Destiny, he'd be a gold bar enemy. Like right as soon as you're out of the cave, but then they've also added, it's going to sound really dumb because it looks dumb, triangular wooden planks that are held up by living balloon animals. Yeah. I'm not making this up. So basically, like, imagine like a balloon, I don't know, octopus or something, and his tentacles are tied to a wooden plank. And so there's all these planks in the world in hard mode that are just floating with enemies and treasure and stuff. And it's like, well, how the fuck do I get up there? But there's a plank right outside of the cave, and there's a fucking dude up there with fire arrows. Oh. And so you're just like, well, shit, I guess I'm running my ass off. So I've been doing that, and then earlier in June, I've been slowly working my way through Horizon Zero Dawn, which is also an immaculate game as well. But to put, because I get into this argument with Self-Made Dame, one of the co-founders on the Fork in Your Ear podcast, just like Buster. He used to argue with me because he doesn't have a Nintendo Switch that Horizon is the best Zelda game ever made, and it's better than Breath of the Wild. And now that I've played both of them extensively, to lay this to bed for any fans out there of either game, they're not the same fucking game. Period.
I was about to say, it's
like,
different genres.
They're like, the only thing you could say is you both use arrows a lot, and you explore. Like, they are just not the same game. It's like comparing well, this might be a weird comparison. It'd be like comparing Skyrim to any Zelda game before Breath of the Wild. Because Breath of the Wild is actually very Skyrim-like, ironically. The best comparison I could say is probably, like, the new Zelda is like the best Zelda Skyrim you've ever played, and Horizon is like the most beautiful robot dinosaur version of the new Tomb Raider reboot games you've ever played.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's open world. I mean,
Yeah.
that's definitely more. But I mean, which from what I've seen, which I haven't seen a lot of Zelda. I was a fan of them.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I rented Zelda, and I don't think I ever figured out what to do because it was the age before the internet. And it's like that was actually a point in time in my life where I didn't know about gaming magazines. So here I am.
I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah, this little kid trying to figure out what in the world to do with this awesome gold cartridge that I was able to rent.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Huh?
I'm sorry, Riven.
I
I had older cousins, so when I was a kid, I was just like, ooh, I want to play Zelda, and they would never fucking let me play Zelda, of course, because they're older cousins, so they're just like older brothers.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, it's my turn all day, every day. And so when I got around to it, I had like memorized what to do as my cheat sheet back in the day.
By watching it so much.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, I need to use the hammer here. Ooh, what did my cousin do here? Ooh, ice arrows. Ooh.
I'll definitely say, like, at least for... Because I did watch one of the guys that I watched play it, ended up basically going to, like, what was essentially, like, the last area first.
Yeah, you can do that.
Because there was all these, like, basically castle in the sky-esque, like, robots that shot laser beams at you, but he found out that you can actually, like, all of his weapons were useless against them.
Oh, yeah.
But he found out if you did a perfect, like, a just frame, like, block on their beams, you actually ended up reflecting them back while still, like, without damaging your shield.
Yeah, you can use a pot lid, which is the air quotes first shield you can get in the game.
Yeah.
Against these demon Dr. Octopus robots that shoot absolute
laser beams.
Will kill you in one shot, and your horse. By the way, your horses can die in the new Zelda, FYI. My girlfriend ran one right off of a bridge. It was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. She's like charging into battle, and she hates like driving games or even riding horses or any of that sort of thing. It's really bizarre. I don't know why. And there's like this bridge over to this little thing in the new Zelda game, and she's charging on this horse, and her plan is to like be on the horse and attack this enemy that's on the ground with her sword. But she turns left, and the horse just goes straight off the bridge. And they fall down the canyon, the horse crashes, and then just dies. and I was like, good job, honey. You're now a horse murderer.
Deep down inside, you were cracking
bullshit.
up. Deep inside, you were laughing so hard.
Oh, no, I was laughing on the outside.
Oh, okay.
To her face. I pointed. There was laughter. Yeah, it was exactly like that.
Oh, man.
Oh. Where were we going with that? I got sidetracked.
I know, right?
What games you
My
were
girlfriend-
playing?
My
yeah.
Killed a horse. Yeah. I guess just I've been playing those, and like I've been playing Splatoon 2, because I never played Splatoon 1, despite all my other podcaster friends saying that it was fantastic. And I own a Wii, but I was just like, I don't really want to spend money on that game. But I love the Switch so much that I'm like, all right, I'll give this Splatoon a shot. And the best way I can describe it to people who don't know is it's a colorful Nintendo game, and it's a hardcore, literally, third-person shooter that if you're not good at shooting, you can still win by painting the arena. You basically use paint weapons like paintball guns or paint rollers or paint buckets or paint bombs. Everything's paint-based. So if you're not good at killing the other enemies or the other team, you could just win by having covered the most of the map in your team's color.
Yeah.
But it's actually really surprising how hardcore it is in terms of like both a Nintendo game and as a shooter. Like it's really competent as a third-person shooter. Oh, have you played it?
No. But I remember like for the advertisements for the Switch, they basically had the Japanese like, you know, of course it was a staged event, but they had the Japanese pro players like freaking like handing out like Splatoon like crap, and it's like, yeah, that's actually serious. I mean, freaking Japan is serious about, at least Japan is serious about Splatoon, dude.
Yeah. Well, I think it has a shot of taking off, given the fact that Nintendo is just selling out their stock on the Switch this year, which is good on them. It's so weird because it's like, I mean, I've always been a Nintendo fan, you know, and I have a Wii U, but it's like, it's dusty. You know what I mean? And like, you know, I mean, I'll be honest, I only have Nintendo games on it. Like, why else would I mean, I'm not going to fucking play Batman on my Wii U. Are you kidding me? No. I'm playing on my PS4. You know? But, like, the Switch is so good at being both a home console and a portable that, like, any game that is multi-platform, I'm going to get it on both. Like, I'm going to get it on my PS4 if it's like a super... Like, a good example of this is, so, like, I'm a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan. Sonic Mania, which is ironically made by a bunch of guys who originally hacked a Sonic game and then made, like, the best versions of the original Sega Genesis Sonic games. And then Sega was like, oh, shit, maybe we should hire them because they made the original Sonic games run in 60 frames a second at 1080p with no visual quality loss. Like, maybe we should, you know, maybe that's a good idea. Best idea they ever did. And so they did that, but then they're like, hey, why don't you make an original 2D Sonic game and just go nuts? And so the first original 2D Sonic game since 94, 93, 92, somewhere in there, is coming out on the 15th. And I've had my special collector's edition for the PS4 pre-ordered since last year or whatever, and I'm super stoked to stream that, you know, and all that sort of stuff. But I'm also getting it for the Switch because it's like, I'm playing this bitch on the road because it's the Switch. That's what it can do, you know? And it's funny because I got into an argument that unfortunately wasn't on a podcast about the actual horsepower of the Switch. And it's about 2x the power of a Wii U, and the Wii U is about 2x the power of a Xbox 360. So if the Switch ever got, well, I mean, it is definitely it's one of the fastest selling consoles of this generation. And actually, statistically, it's sold more consoles since its launch than even the PS4 did. The PS4 is sold amazingly well this generation. And a lot of people keep asking Bungie this, but they could easily do all of Destiny 1 on the Nintendo Switch. And it would be pretty amazing. And I could almost see them doing that in such a way as it's like they already have the game. All they would have to do is make some concessions with being always online, because obviously you can't always do that in portable mode unless you're tied to, you know, your phone as a mobile hotspot. But you could do that on a Nintendo Switch, and you could even have split screen on it. Well, and that's another crazy thing. So, like, everybody keeps bitching that the Switch has no power, yet I can play on handheld mode, even though it's a tiny-ass screen, I can play 4-player split-screen Mario Kart 8, which is a 60 frames a second game, in handheld, in the fucking park. Like, it is the most weird, surreal thing ever. And if, like, Bungie wanted to, they could just cut out the always online part of Destiny 1, you know, maybe brand it as Destiny Origins or something like that, and cater to a completely new market. I mean, I'm sure Activision is probably looking at the sales of the Switch and going, I wonder if we could get maybe like a port team or something on that original Destiny content that's just going to basically, aside from the people who are going to straggle and still play Destiny 1 over Destiny 2, You know, I think that would be really cool, to be honest. And if they really wanted to, like, just crush, I guess, all of the Destiny fans who have moved over to Destiny 2, they could rebrand Destiny 1 as Destiny Origins, and then, I don't know, maybe put some sort of, like, thing in it that, like, if you play this version, you get your XP transferred over to 2 or something like that, like, as you play. So you have a reason to go back to all this old content for all of the old fans. But I'm just fucking shooting off my mouth crazily off of what games I was playing, and I feel that, you know, it would be cool if it was on the Switch, because they could get a whole new market, and you could do a tie into Destiny 2. I don't know. It'd be cool. And Perfect World. Somebody else talk.
No, you're right, though. That would be kind of fun. Like, bringing it with you wherever you go, because I know the Switch is totally portable. And,
yeah,
my girlfriend has hinted that she wants to play the new Zelda. And I was sitting just thinking about it the other day, like, I could definitely get that for her, you know, when we move into the new house and everything.
You should, bro.
But I know for a fact that I'm such a Zelda mark that I'll be obsessively playing it too. And then a couple of days ago, her friend, you know, we had friends over, and you know, we were just shooting the shit, and then she was like, "Hey, do you have your Game Boy? Because I have a Pokemon. We have Pokemon that we can trade." And I'm like, "Are they really?" Yep, they really are. Okay. And I know if there's ever a Switch Pokemon, like Pokemon Battle Stadium, Pokemon whatever, you know, Battle Royale, however that works.
They actually have a Pokemon fighting game coming in September.
Pokken?
Yeah, that's a thing, apparently.
Been out. No, it's been out.
No, not on the Switch. It came out on the Wii U,
no, yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying.
Years ago. They have like a director's cut.
Motherfucker, don't let her know that.
Oh yeah,
it's just a fighting game. It's not a real Pokemon game. That's coming next year.
No, it's Pokken is literally the sections of the Tekken team making a Pokemon fighting game.
Okay. All right, so I'm
that's
not
why
to worry
it's called
about it.
Pokken.
Tekken, Pokemon, get it, got it.
Yeah.
For the games I've been playing Paladins. Surprise, surprise. Like I said earlier, I played No Man's Sky. What?
I have some questions on you on Paladins, and we've talked in text about that. So I played the Paladins beta for at least a month back in probably about this time last year. I really liked it. I liked it more than, you know, the Overwatch craze that was going on, and took some of my Destiny bros away from me. I have not played it since it has gone out of beta.
It's not out of beta.
It's not out of beta.
It's not out of beta?
OB56.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually still in beta.
I haven't played it in a year. When did you start playing it?
2 months ago?
Okay, shit.
Yeah, 2 months ago?
The start of this year.
This year, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, for me, it's the start of this year. It was definitely when I downloaded it to try it, because I heard about it, and it's like, oh, it's like poor man's Overwatch. It's like, I have no money, so yeah, sure, let's give it a try. So I ended up.
So are you guys enjoying it?
Immensely.
I guess.
I have 3 players or 3 characters right now, platinumed in comp. So
cool. Yeah, I guess where I was ultimately going was I was trying to see how much has changed in a year in that game. But since you guys just started playing this year, I guess it'd be a little hard to.
From what I can imagine, or from what I can gather,
a lot.
No, not a lot since last year.
Oh.
There's been like a lot of little tweaks here and there, but like not a lot of like crazy things. Like from what I can gather, you pretty much started playing it after the biggest, hugest changes like in the history of the game, and now it's just they're doing a lot more like refinements, especially right now. They're actually like looking at legendary cards and like trying to get a good balance out on them, which so far they seem to be doing a good job, which I'm not surprised considering this is a company that has run an up-and-coming successful MOBA.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't call it up-and-coming. I mean, it's been around for a long time. I'd say it has come.
The fact that it was able to succeed and gain its own weight under the weight of like Dota and LoL,
mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I mean by up-and-coming, is the fact that this is a company that's done nothing in the mobile world. They don't have an establishment. They don't have anything. But they came out with Smite, and it was a good enough idea and a good enough execution that's actually become a pretty heavy thing.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I've played at least 50 hours of Smite.
Maybe you can teach me.
Maybe. I don't know. All my shit might
Thor.
be outdated now.
I can Thor. That's about it.
Everybody
And
can
God,
Thor,
is
dude.
it fun?
Everybody
Is it fun
can
to
Thor.
But it's fun to Thor. My God,
Well,
you're
and I
throwing
think that-
Mjolnir around, you're jumping into the air, and you're smacking people in the head.
I think that's the real success of Smite is the third-person perspective. You get in there, and even though it is super ADS, or not ADS, it's aim down sights.
ADD.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that one. All of that RPG vernacular. It can, if you get enough skill, feel like a brawler, which is really interesting because it's like this team control brawler, and there are so many goddamn characters in that game.
There are.
And the thing is like so many of the characters are good, and then like the loadout stuff is like really cool, which is also very similar to Paladins, which is something that I really liked about Paladins being a first-person shooter plus like the loadout stuff and like your card build-up and all that sort of jazz, which I assume is still in the game, having not played it.
Sure. Yeah, that's they're pretty much, like I said, they've pretty much been set on that system, so that hasn't really changed much. Specific legendaries have been changed. Like I said, these past couple, they've started like within probably about 5 or so builds ago. They're actually adding like mastery specific skins to the character mastery list. So, and they said like once they started doing that, it's like we're now like in the process of moving towards a finished product with this game.
Yeah,
so,
good, because I bought it. I want them to have a finished game finally.
No word on exactly when it's going to come out of beta, but they are at least like in the motions. That and OB56 is they're entirely redoing their ranked system to a more familiar like
Tiers.
rank gaining system. Well, not just that, just the actual climbing of the. It's more like an a more standard ELO system is what they're moving to for the ranked.
Yeah, bronze 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, silver, gold, platinum, masters, that kind of thing. Let me see, what else have I been playing? I played Rogue Galaxy again, and
that's that PS2 game that you keep telling me I need to play, and I've looked at it so many times because I know the developers behind it worked on one of my favorite RPGs of all time. But I don't know. I guess it's probably because I've been busy. I've thought about taking the plunge several times, and I've like watched video reviews of it and stuff.
Yeah, it's my favorite RPG of all time.
God, all time. That's such a strong statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100% factual. It's my favorite RPG. Well, I mean, other than like open world RPGs, I don't count. That's more, it's my favorite RPG of all time. I can't say Skyrim or Morrowind or all that. That's something totally different. Or Fallout.
I agree with you. I agree. There's subsections within stuff. Like I would lump Halo as a first person shooter, but I wouldn't call Destiny just a first person shooter. I would call it what it is, which is a shared world shooter, which I would also always lump Borderlands in with as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because they're the same game, just differently made.
Different animation
Borderlands
styles.
Basically, Borderlands was like the prototype before. Because from what I understand, Borderlands was basically in that niche area just before like online play was becoming like a standard, basically.
I don't know about that. I mean, Borderlands 1 was on the 360, and like 360 in terms of console
but even then,
online.
like when 360 first came out, LAN parties were still a thing.
True.
Which I mean,
But
that's like what I mean is the fact that there was a time it almost seems like a very, a clean-cut lines, like where games stopped worrying about your LANs, your physical connections, your physical being, and went more towards vastly online connection.
Well, I would argue that would be the PS4, Xbox One era. My only caveat to that, and this is something that, as an old school gamer, I really appreciate about my Switch, is that it's both. Because almost every game I have on the Switch, with the exception of Zelda and Splatoon 2, I can play in split screen or co-op, or I can split my controller in half and hand it to my girlfriend, and we can play whatever it is that I'm playing on the Switch, and we can play it couch co-op. And a lot of the time, even though their online stuff is whatever it is per game right now.
I was going to say wonky. Is that the word you were looking for?
Well, see, the thing is, so connecting with players, I have absolutely no problem playing with online. I am not even going to try to touch their weird-ass voice chat setup that I'm sure you guys have probably seen on the internet for how Splatoon works. Nope. You guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so playing online games without voice chat on Switch totally works fine every time. Never had a problem. Never had a problem with servers. Everything works great there. So the way voice chat is supposed to work is, on the Nintendo Switch specifically, is there's no built-in chat app like on the console or game. You have to download a separate app onto your phone. And then if you want to talk onto your phone, you have to have another adapter thingy to use like a gamer mic or something that's not like your phone's headset. And then using that app, you have to connect back to, for now, Splatoon 2. Because the thing is, like, and Nintendo's been very public, they're like, our online service is not up yet. This is the beta of what it is. And we're going to offload, like, all of your friends list, connecting parties, all that stuff to your phone. And on the one hand, from a logical standpoint, that makes a lot of sense if you're playing online games portably and you're using your phone as a hotspot or any of that sort of stuff. Like, that makes sense to me. But when you're at home, sitting on the couch, that doesn't make any fucking goddamn sense to me.
No, not at all.
It's very bizarre. I forgot why I was talking about this. Why was I talking about this? What led us here?
The fact that we didn't know that how the Switch's in-app, the Fireteam chat would work.
Yeah, internet.
No, I know that,
Internet.
but Raven was talking about something. Oh, we were talking about the clear-cut line between when, LAN parties stopped being a thing and there stopped being split screens. I think that was the point I was trying to get at. Yeah. Was like when LAN parties stopped, we stopped getting split screens in all of our console games, which really pissed me off. I mean, like, especially like having a gamer girlfriend, like I have to like go down a game list in my PS4 library and be like, "Fuck, does that have co-op?"
Nope.
And I use a website called Co-optimus, which is a great co-op website, for girlfriends or friends or whatever. And it's like, okay, sweet, this game has co-op. You punch into your game, it's like, this game has co-op, this game has couch co-op, this has online co-op. Oh, this one needs another copy of the game to play, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I hate that that's a dying breed, and that, to bring it full circle, it's one of the reasons why I love the Switch, is because co-op is great on it and very prevalent. But I agree with your statement, Raven, about, I suppose, I don't know if it'd be the game developers, or if it'd be, like, Microsoft and Sony just stopped caring about LANs and being grouped together because they put more of their resources into online, I guess.
Well, then they followed the technology. I mean, there was a reason why LAN parties were such a big deal. I mean, by the time they were still out, the internet was still kind of in its infancy. Mm. I mean, The PS2, and I'm assuming the 360, still had like... I want to say actually still had like a dial-up jack, basically.
You mean an Ethernet port?
No, well, essentially, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it had an option for, like, a freaking dial-up connection, still, at least in the boot-up disk, but at that point in time, cable was becoming a more, or less rare thing, like, it was becoming more widely available, and with your standardized broadband internet, co-op became, instead of a dream, something that people, or the developers, could focus on. So instead of focusing on, like, you know, the couch co-ops and the split screens, which I'm sad to see split screens go, but at the same time, split screens are like some of the worst things ever, especially like coming from me as a kid when, you know, you only got like a 16-inch TV and then you split that in half and you pretty much have to stand 3 inches from your TV just to see what's going on your screen.
Oh, what? You never did the hillbilly remedy? This is the part where you're like, what the hell is a hillbilly remedy?
That's what I was wondering. I was quiet. Like,
being a man from the South, that has a lot of implications.
Oh, sorry. That's not what I meant. God damn it. No. I remember reading it in an Electronic Gaming Monthly magazine, a.k.a. the best gamer magazine of all time, where you could, using cardboard and mirror tape, you could duct tape basically your TV into quadrants, like how it would split the screen, you know, like, say, GoldenEye or something, 4-player split screen. And you could then sort of funnel it to each person using cardboard and mirror tape so that you could have the screens perfectly split and you couldn't screen sheet with your friends.
Quit peeking, bro. Quit peeking.
Yeah.
You're peeking. How'd you know where I was?
Somebody gets mad and then punches the cardboard and the experience is ruined.
Yeah. I was about to say, that just does not sound...
Seems like
I'm not saying it worked great.
I'm about to say, it seems like a lot of work, too.
I know, right? Come on. There's a reason I play video games. Oh, God.
I admit, I tried it once, and it was okay for about an hour until, like I said, people got pissed off and punched the cardboard.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, legitimately, it's like also like it was also following like when the arcades died in America. It just happened. I remember the last game I played in an arcade was Tekken 5, Bloodline Rebellion, I believe, or it might have been Tekken 6 BR. I'm not entirely sure. It was one of the. It was definitely Bloodline Rebellion, but I can't remember the exact number. But I was just getting into, like, the Tekken, and I was watching a movie, and, like, just for old time's sake, I, like, put $1 in, got some tokens, like, went to town, wrecked some poor 10-year-old's life. Felt a little bad and walked away with that last thing. But after that, it's like, I did get to see... I was able to, like... The one thing I do like about smaller towns is that you'll run into like the bowling alleys that actually still have like House of the Dead machines and crap.
Oh hell
yeah!
Sure.
Oh my god! I actually was able to show my wife how serious I got in like gun games.
Aerosmith.
I'm talking like
gun games are still good, by the way.
Oh god!
I don't care what anybody says.
I mean, but the way I had a stance. I basically had like a firing stance, had a firing position. I kept my arms straight. I mean, everything was very tactical whenever I would play House of the Dead, which is why I couldn't play it whenever my parents gave me like $10 for tokens, because I'd end up with like half the tokens still in my pocket when I went home. Mm-hmm. So I actually couldn't play House of the Dead that much.
Wow. Mine was the sniper game. That was my favorite shooter. I think it was like Sniper Elite, maybe something like that.
I can't remember the name of it. But it was really cool because the screen had one... the screen had one vision, but then the scope was an actual like scoped in thing. It's like, oh wow, that was freaking I love that. Oh god, and you just have to not think about
like in games.
Yeah, you basically just have to not think about whose face sweat has been attached to that scope.
It's super gross.
What was the other one for the House of Dead guys? Time Crisis?
Time Crisis.
Time Crisis.
baby.
Oh my god,
That's
Time
what it's
Crisis.
like.
Jesus.
Dude, I played new, air quotes, as far as arcade goes. I played like a made in 2006 Time Crisis at a movie theater like a year ago.
Oh.
Like with my friend's kid.
Yeah.
And we were like shooting terrorists, but then they like turned into like spider bugs or some shit.
Yep, that's Time Crisis.
It's like, what is happening? Kill them all!
Like the first couple levels are always like, your normal terrorist guys popping up, and then halfway through the first level, you get like your axe throwers or your knife throwers, then you get people that throw barrels, then you get your rocket launchers. And all of a sudden, like 2 levels in, you're fighting like T-Rexes, and it's like, wait, what?
What happened?
Okay. It's basically like, okay, we will make the first couple of levels so that it caters perfectly to the American audience because we are Japanese, and then we'll go full Japanese.
It's like the movie Kung Fury, but in a video game form. That's
God, yeah, that's. Oh.
Do you remember the one with Aerosmith, Rock Revolution?
Oh my god! I actually played the first time I played that was actually on my friend's Genesis or Saturn,
where music is your weapon.
Yeah, where you're actually flinging like actual like CD, which was actually like very like advanced for that game at the time because CDs were not popular yet.
Wait, so I'm unfamiliar with this game. So you're talking about a game on the Sega Genesis where you would like cut people with CDs, or like you used the Sega CD add-on?
No, it was basically a light gun game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of ammunition, your whatever the crap weapon you used fired CDs at people.
Oh.
It was
And like you were rescuing like Aerosmith like band
the members of Aerosmith. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a very very strange game.
I mean, I'm sure it's a video game, but my immediate thought of where you're rescuing the Aerosmith band members from, like bad one-night stands? Hookers? Like, what are you rescuing them from?
Not rehab either, but it's
like I said,
it's
like I
set
said, aliens, demons. I can't exactly remember
I
myself.
thought it was set like a dystopian future where music was outlawed and the government, like a government agency, captured them.
I can't remember.
I think that's what it was. If I'm wrong,
I played
I'm wrong,
it once. I played it once, and it's like, oh my god, what is this?
I played it the last time I went to the movies because the movie theater had it. Like I
Oh my
god!
God.
All I heard was dun, 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 Rock Revolution. I'm like, I just ran over there. My girlfriend was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm saving Aerosmith. Stephen Perry needs me."
There's sadly like a lot of like genres of video games that are basically extinct or going that way, which I'm sad because I thought like the PS Move and like the Wii would actually have a resurgence of light gun-esque games and rail shooters, because rail shooters,
Well, it sort of did.
it did, but not really as hardcore as I mean, VR is starting to kind of get back to that direction again, but it wasn't really like a huge surge I was hoping for, not like the House of the Dead craze. I mean, come on, when the PS Move first came out and like motion controls were becoming a thing, that was a perfect time for a House of the Dead remake.
They had a House of the Dead remake. I don't know what you're talking about.
They apparently didn't do that well because I have not heard of it.
Oh, they did. They had so there's 3 for they started on the Wii and then they just ported them over to the PlayStation Move. They had a House of the Dead. They had, I think it was 2 Resident Evil games. They were called Resident Evil Chronicles.
Oh no! Okay, the Resident Evil.
And then they had, which is my personal favorite and the best one by rating, Dead Space.
Oh yeah, I heard good things about that one.
Extinction, I think. What's it called?
One of those.
One of those. But it was a fucking bomb ass light gun game. Essentially.
Yeah. Okay, that I heard of. And like I said, I had sadly have heard of the 2 Resident Evil ones, which they had their own issues. I didn't know they had did a resurgence, but I'm talking like, like something. Of course, but isn't House of the Dead Capcom, or is that Sega?
It's Sega.
Sega.
I'm looking at their release list here in a second.
Yeah, Sega. That's a company that They love Sonic right now.
Hey, they got other stuff. They've had a good time as a publisher.
Yeah, they have, but what have they done recently?
What have you done for me lately, Sega?
The closest thing they've done to awesome recently, technically, is Bayonetta. Because I think technically Bayonetta is still a Sega character.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm checking. I'm checking this now.
That's like
I'm diverting from...
I mean, you look at the list of, like, the pedigree that Capcom has come from. I mean, I'm talking, like, a pedigree.
Yeah,
we're talking, like,
Capcom's
legends,
definitely
Mega
not
Man.
doing great right now.
Freaking... Oh, good God, I can't... Like, my mind just completely blanked. I was going to go off on this, like, long tirade of, like, game names, but it's just... But yeah, I'm like, they had, like, a serious pedigree, but here recently, up until Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was announced, they had a huge hard-on for Street Fighter, and that's, like, it.
Yeah, they have
only
had
time
a
they-
really strange hard-on for Street Fighter, haven't they? 'Cause they got a Street Fighter and everything.
I mean, people in Japan are, like, paying for that, basically. Like, the pro Capcom players are, like, legitimately paying for that, which, it's fair, but at the same time, it's like, the only time they did anything with Mega Man recently was in response, I feel, to Mighty Number 9. Because Mighty Number 9 was coming out, and all of a sudden Capcom's like, but Mega Man Legacy Correction coming soon. And then it's like the
but
first six.
Didn't
and
Mighty
then it's
Number
like,
9 like suck ass?
Yeah, that was another
That's
thing.
what I heard.
And Legacy Collection is awesome because I have it, but
Okay, so the Sega list here. So obviously there's Sonic games.
yeah.
But they've been publishing Total War, so the Warhammer games,
Oh,
like all of them.
okay, legit.
They apparently have still making Daytona games. That's a thing. Yeah, they had a spin-off of Valkyria Revolution, which is their alternate World War II or One RPG that is pretty popular. Then, of course, their like billionth Yakuza installment, which came out just last December.
Oh, wait, that's big.
And then...
It's fair.
What the fuck?
Uh-oh.
I don't know this
Breaking
list.
news.
So apparently in 2015, they made, in cooperation with Capcom, Luigi's Mansion Arcade? What the?
Google, my
What?
friend, come to me.
Yeah.
Luigi Mansion Arcade. It's a thing.
Okay.
The first-person ghost wrangling adventure. What the F? I mean, it's obviously
okay.
arcades. It must be super
Well-
Japanese.
Yeah, well, that was a Japanese-only release.
Yeah, but still.
The term
on
super
the list.
Japanese. It must be super Japanese.
Well,
In fact,
come on.
It was a
When
game
it says
based off of-
arcade. Yeah.
Oh, it was
Go
for
on,
the
sorry.
3DS as well. No wonder.
Well, no, Luigi's Mansion is for...
No, the arcade.
I don't remember that coming up.
Oh, no.
I have
Wait,
the
my bad.
3DS.
I'm reading it incorrectly. It's based off of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon for the 3DS.
Yeah.
That was my bad.
Which I have, which is
Yeah, that was my
an
bad.
excellent game, by the way.
Oh, which is a first-person rail shooter.
Yeah.
Ah,
'Cause it's Capcom and Sega, and it's in the arcade. What else is it going to be?
I know, right?
Like,
I mean, like I said, Capcom had a huge freaking... Oh, and then, oh, God, speaking like people with huge pedigrees and, like, coming back, freaking any fan of Street Fighter, if any of you remember the Street Fighter EX series, of those weird Tekken-esque, like 3D polygonal graphics, like Street Fighter games,
yeah.
the company behind them, because Capcom actually hasn't first-person programmed a Street Fighter in forever. Because I know from Street Fighter 3, 4, 5 have all been like outsourced. Marvel 3 and Infinite are outsourced. But the people that did Street Fighter EX Arika have recently, well, as of this April Fool's, they were releasing videos of a fighting game that was featuring characters from the Street Fighter EX series, but it was a complete and total April Fool's joke about a fighting game that they were coming out with. But again, they weren't. It was an April Fool's joke. Hilarious thing is, they actually had enough buzz and excitement and, like, inquiry from just people across the internet about this game that's becoming a thing now.
I love that when that happens.
Yeah.
To be honest. Like, I love... Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I love when, like, shit doesn't exist or, you know, like, shit's canceled and, like, fans save it somehow.
Oh, yeah.
Like, mostly because I just finished the second season here this last week. Like, Sense8, which is a great Netflix original show, got canceled. One of the few shows that got canceled by Netflix. But the fan outcry was so much for it that they're not giving us a third season, but they're going to give us a movie to finish up the series story next year. And I'm just like, well, fuck, that's better than nothing. Go fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was Firefly.
Yeah,
well,
basically. It was Firefly, but like in the span of a couple months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be fair, though, Firefly was like, they planned Firefly to be in it in a movie. It's more like Farscape.
Well,
okay, hang on there. Sonny.
Touche.
They never planned to end Firefly in a movie, good sir. Firefly was off the air for many years.
Oh, really?
Through fan outcry and petitions that I myself and many others did. Like, there's this whole subversive grassroots campaign to go to every library in America and replace Star Wars and Star Trek discs with DVDs of the Firefly TV series in all of the libraries to get awareness for the show up. I'm not kidding you. This is real shit that I did. I fucking have the badge to prove it. They gave out badges back in the grassroots revolution days. Anyways, and then eventually we got enough petitioning and Joss Whedon bitched enough that, because it went off the air in 2003 and we got a movie made in 2007.
Ah, okay. Fair enough.
So it was never planned to end that way. And while it did wrap up visually in the theaters, the story has continued on actually in comic book form.
That's Joss Whedon too, though.
Yeah.
He did the exact same thing with Buffy and Angel.
Yeah, but only after Firefly did it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, the official, like, final seasons of Buffy and Angel were...
Yeah, no, I know. There's seasons of Buffy and stuff. I have those. I know exactly.
I don't know, like, what came out first, though. But either way, I mean, like I said, Joss Whedon, like, I don't know, kind of brilliant. But at the same time, okay, when I was aware, because I was not aware of Firefly when it was a thing, and I actually haven't seen it, but it was one of those things that I became...
Hang on. Buster.
Yes.
You've seen Firefly, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Did you like it?
Yes.
Good. All right, Raven, what's your fucking excuse? Carry on.
I don't watch every TV show under the sun.
He also hasn't seen any Game of Thrones either, so...
Well, I'll
forgive
forgive
what Raven does.
It took me 5 years to catch up into Game of Thrones. I watched, like, the first couple episodes of Game of Thrones, like, must have been, like, 20 freaking times, and I just could not get into it. And then, like, one summer I was bored as shit, and I just sort of watched them while I was doing something else, and then I actually got into it. So I'll forgive him on Game of Thrones.
That's how I feel about it, too. I give him shit for it, but I forgive him because I didn't like Lost. The show Lost, I didn't like it.
Ugh.
I didn't like it at all.
See, I totally get it. I get people who don't like Lost. I can accept that. I just can't accept human beings who haven't seen or don't like or love Firefly.
I actually think if he watched it, he'd like it. I know
more than likely.
Yeah, I know Raven well enough to pretty much guess what he would like. I think he'd love it, to be honest. But I mean, it's just
one of those things I haven't gotten around to watching.
He hasn't gotten around to it.
Like, holy crap!
It's fine.
Cool. But it's not like it's going anywhere.
Yeah,
it's in perpetuity forever. So
when I was aware, like actually made aware of Firefly's existence, was very shortly before the movie, which apparently I guess was a rerunning of the series in hype building for the movie on Sci-Fi.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I get extremely passionate about Firefly. Like, so there's this movement called the Brown Coats, and I have a literal fucking brown coat with this badge that they only made 10,000 of for this fan base. Like, it is the most involved in any fan base of like a property, except for maybe Destiny, I think I've ever gotten. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird how passionate I am about it.
Hey, man, we here at the RNG, we let our geek flags fly. We get geeky about a lot of things. Like, there are certain things, like, if you say the wrong thing to me about a specific, like, genre or a specific show, I would get angry. Not angry, but impassioned about.
Which ones? I kind of want to know.
I'm a deep Game of Thrones nerd.
Okay. I love Game of Thrones now.
Yeah. I Doctor Who. We actually talked about Doctor Who last episode, and we were talking about our favorite episodes. There's a lot of things like I get super into. I get obsessed with things really fast, and I find things. Farscape's one of them.
Fantastic fucking show.
Yeah, the movie ended everything nicely.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was good.
But there's a bunch of
Especially
stuff.
Considering the way the series ended.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck you ending.
Yeah. Like, my girlfriend, hers is The Office. She loves The Office. She's watched The Office in its entirety, I think 9 times, and I've watched it 5.
Office. Okay.
So, like, it's amazing. We all have our little freak flags. We all have our geek lands, our nerd whatever. It's fine. Everybody has one. I just think it's funny when people get like when you were like, hold on a second. I was like, oh, it's going to be good. Like, I could just, because anytime someone goes, hold on a second, there's always something great afterwards, in my opinion. Like, I don't watch sports. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't watch any sport that involves a ball, a puck, a shuttlecock, nothing that involves like a movement. Why is my dog having... Hey, you sleeping? Yeah, she's asleep. I thought she was having a seizure. I threw my pen at her to make sure she wasn't.
Did your dog have seizures?
No, she was dreaming, but it looked like a seizure from where I was sitting.
So you just threw something at her?
Well, I woke her up with a pen. I didn't throw it hard.
Yeah, considering it clattered, you probably didn't throw it directly at her, just in her general vicinity.
I wanted to...
Just impaled your dog with that mighty pen.
I just wanted to, make sure she wasn't having a seizure. She was just asleep. Because, like, they sleep run. But from where I was sitting, all I saw was her foot, like, shaking. So I was like, oh, shit, my dog's having a seizure. So,
I thought maybe you were practicing your pen void bow shot skills.
No, she's fine. But, I don't watch sports. And I work with a bunch of dudes that watch sports. The only thing I watch is boxing, MMA, kickboxing, like that kind of stuff.
That's fighting. I don't know.
Yeah, pro wrestling now. I watch a lot of pro wrestling. I'm a mark for that. So like I said something, because I guess football started again. I'm like, oh great, football. I'm like, what team is this? And they were like, you don't know what team this is? Oh my god! And they started like rambling stuff, and I looked at them. I said, listen, man, I appreciate your geekiness about this, but I don't care. And he started like, the dude was like, he's like, I get it. It's like when you talk comics. I'm like, exactly. When you tell me shut up about Thor, I'm telling you shut up about football. And we all just had a good giggle about it and kept it going. But I just find it humorous when people get impassioned about a specific topic. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I have a great sports story actually. So like, I'm not into sports at all. Like the most I'm into sports, if you can call it that, because now it is an official esport, is Rocket League. And that's because I play it, and I love it, and I understand it. And it's actually interesting to watch compared to other things. But so, like, my girlfriend is super into sports. Like, her and her whole family is, like, sports-based, And it's coming up on our 1-year anniversary soon. And, like, she's like, okay, I have to take you to a baseball game. And a baseball game to me, I was like, so I'll be honest, hon, I would rather watch paint dry and cut off all of my own limbs than go to a fucking baseball game. But she's like, well, if you go to it, I'll obviously owe you one. And I was like, oh, blackmail material.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So, I live in Washington State, and so I saw a home team Mariners game at their home stadium and did the whole fucking 9 innings, whatever, 4.5 hours or whatever, the whole day baseball, And it was weird because, I'd seen baseball and baseball video games and stuff, and I knew nothing. Literally nothing. I was like, all right, there's a ball, and it's hit, and it goes somewhere, and people do things. And I gotta be honest, I did enjoy myself a little bit. But the entire time, I was completely ribbing my girlfriend. She's just like, all right, did it do this? And this name is this? And I was like, well, that's kind of a dumb name for that. Why don't they call it like a wacky bat or something? And she's just like, no, it's called this, and it's called this. And so I eventually just started equating everything she said to Rocket League. And I was like, uh-huh. But what would make this game really interesting? Cars. Rockets. And this dude right in front of me, sitting in the seat, turns around and goes, bro, talking about Rocket League? And I was like, yeah. And then we fist bump, and then my girlfriend just face bumps, and she's like, are you fucking kidding me? You're not helping.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I was like, complete stranger. He's just like, yeah, Rocket League. So good.
I find that going to sporting events live are a little bit better than watching it. There's the experience about it, which I can, I've been to football games, I've been to basketball games, hockey and all that. I don't know anything about it. Like, I basically would just Mystery Science Theater 3000 it, and everybody would enjoy it. But, my buddy who got me into pro wrestling again, he's like, dude, we got to go see a live event. I'm like, okay. And he's like, you got to watch some of the stuff so you can get the storylines. I'm like, I have been. And he's like, well, SummerSlam, which is like a WWE event, is in Philadelphia this year. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he's, well, it's in the summer. Well, you have time off. I'm like, I'm not going to have any time off. And he's like, oh, shit, that sucks. Well, maybe we can go see one of the indie events, because wherever there's a big WWE event, all the indie promotions go around it to capitalize. I mean, you got to think about it. If there's WrestleMania, everybody's going to be around wherever WrestleMania is. And I'm like, I could totally go there. And he said, well, just watch this, I think it's called Ring of Honor. He's like, watch it. And I'm watching Ring of Honor, and I'm like, I like this way better than WWE. And he said, oh yeah, that's about right, because these guys aren't making millions of dollars wrestling. They're just wrestling for the love of the sport. And I was, okay, cool. And he said, go on YouTube and look up Super Kick Party. And I'm like, that's the weirdest thing to ask somebody to do, but I'm going to do it. And I looked it up, and it was, I think, 12 minutes of this group's just super kicking people. I mean, are you familiar with what a super kick is?
I'm not.
It's just,
I assume it's like a kick.
It's just it's like a it's like a standing kick. Instead of like a front kick, it's a side kick. You step into it, you give them a good shot to the chin, and it's about 10 minutes of just super kick, double super kicking people, triple super kicking people, putting on a tennis shoe with thumbtacks on it, super kicking people. A 10-year-old kid gets super kicked. I was like, okay, cool. I'm into this group. I'm in. I'm good. This is amazing. And the announcers are great, because it reminds me of the old ECW days. I don't know if you guys watched ECW. It might have been just like up north, because Philadelphia thing. But it was just the guy, every time a super kick happened, super kick. If you got super hyped up about something, is what it was. It was so good. It'd be if I was one of my buddies, Ben Malone. He said he wants to hear me narrate a nature show, like Planet Earth. He wants to hear my narration of it, because I got hyped talking about one. Watching like I think it was a bird just jumping out of his nest trying to learn how to fly, just shit whipping down rocks and stuff. And he was like, "I want to just hear you talk about nature." So when I watched it, I'm like, that might be what I sound like. Like, oh shit, the bird just died. But yeah. Actually, speaking of Ben, we have some questions and topics that we got from our Discord and our Twitter, and I figured.
Awesome. Oh, speaking of that, I meant to ask way earlier because you guys mentioned Discord. I don't have your Discord. What is the Discord?
Discord is like a chat.
No. Oh. I have Discord.
Oh, you have it. You need me to send it to you.
What's your thing, yo?
I'll send you an invite. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
A lot of people were like, I don't know what Discord is, so I had to.
No. I know what Discord is.
All right. Well, hold on. Copy. There we go. Did it real live on the show. This question comes from Fluffy Fingers MD.
Nice name.
He was on the show a couple weeks ago.
Right on.
I
have to ask, does he actually have fluffy fingers?
No, I think it's just his.
I'm sorry. Carry on.
I want to know what fluffy fingers would look like now. Thank you. Just really hairy fingers, like hobbit feet on your hands. Would that be?
I could go either two ways. Like you got you got pork sausage fingers or hairy, or maybe both.
Maybe both, yeah. If you could do any game system like the mini NES, what system would you choose? What are the 5 games it would have to have? For me, I'm going PS1 games. Wu-Tang Shaolin style fighter, Legends of Dragoon, great RPG, Gran Turismo 2, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and Mortal Kombat 2. Oh man, that's...
So the question was, what NES Classic style and which 5 games would you put it on?
Mm-hmm.
Or what games would you put it on? Okay.
Yeah, 5.
Questioning some of the taste there.
Was that the readers?
Yeah, that was the readers.
Okay.
Yeah. That was Fluffy's example.
So I definitely agree with Legend of Dragoon.
Yeah, Legends of Dragoon was great.
I watched it played. I never played it myself.
It was great.
Oh, it is.
My buddy had it. It looked rad.
Yeah,
it is amazing. It was an RPG that it kind of did QTEs before QTEs became really a thing.
Shenmue had it first, and invented.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying, like before it became like a standardized thing, like everything in Legend of Dragoon, like in order to do consecutive hits in a singular attack, it was about like timing your hit with how your character was actually moving. So there wasn't a lot of like on-screen prompts for it, which I think there were items that could help with on-screen prompts. But like I said, the combo and how much damage you could do, like on the high end, was entirely dependent upon your skill and timing.
Yeah, I think that battle system was sort of copied for Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, if I'm not mistaken. Because Legend of Dragoon was turn-based, as I recall, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
you would do the attacks, and then you'd have the timing, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which is an RPG, you had turn-based combat, but like when you shot Mario a fireball, it would, you'd have a meter or a timer or something, and you'd have to hit B or A at a particular moment to do high crit or low crit or normal damage sort of thing. Is that the same type of thing? Are we talking about the same type of thing?
Yeah, because that was prototyped in the Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars.
Mm-hmm.
With the timed hit mechanic, which is hilariously, like a lot of people that worked on that ended up working on Superstar Saga. Anyway, but Superstar Saga is basically like those spiritual successors to the Super Mario RPG, but the Super Mario RPG was made by Square Enix.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I guess I didn't know that because, I played Super NES Kids, or played Super NES Kids. That's weird to say. I played Super NES. So I was the Sega Genesis kid, and my good buddy and still best friend, he was the Super NES guy. And neither of us could find a copy of Superstar Saga to play. Or not Superstar Saga. God damn it. You know, the game you just mentioned. That's made by Square. Yeah. God damn it.
Actually, it's funny you said the Sega. That's the system I would want to mini.
They actually just came out with one.
Yeah.
Apparently it's garbage, though.
You see, I would put...
Well, it wasn't a legitimate thing.
No, there's a legitimate Sega Genesis Classic. It's got 90 games on it. And the real kicker is it's got a cartridge port that you can put your original Sega Genesis games in. And it hooks up to HDMI. Now, in theory, that sounds like the fucking most badass fucking thing ever and totally trumps the NES. Except, according to the internals, like, the sound is fucked up on the built-in games and the original Genesis games you put in. So everything's being done through some sort of shitty, emulated, poorly bought, whatever its innards are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which sucks, because it's like, in practice, that sounds amazing.
I mean, I know the games, obviously Sonic would have to be in there. That's a given, right?
Which one, though?
I'm going to say Sonic 2.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
I like the style, Mike.
Comic Zone. Well, that game was pretty amazing. Altered Beast would have to be on there.
Yep.
Toe Jam and Earl.
Mm-hmm.
And Castlevania Bloodlines. They would have to be on there. That would be like...
That's a fucking great list, man.
And Echo the Dolphin. You'd have to throw Echo the Dolphin on there.
Okay. Right on.
I mean, if you think Genesis, you think of Sonic, Toe Jam and Earl, and Echo the Dolphin. Because what other game can you play a fucking dolphin traveling through time because you're gifted a weird star tattooed by an alien race? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's so weird how much that fucking dolphin game affected my life, like writing. So like I wrote this thing in a different book that hasn't been released, and it had like a time traveling dolphin in it. And for the life of me, I couldn't put my finger on why a time traveling dolphin was so fucking important to have in this book. And then eventually I went, oh fuck.
Echo.
This is Echo the Dolphin. Shit, I gotta cut this shit out. Like, no time-traveling dolphin for this book. Like, oh, that stupid dolphin.
So what would you guys... What system would you guys mini, and what games would you put in?
I've got mine if you're still thinking, Raven.
You can go ahead.
So I would do a mini Sega Dreamcast. And I would have Sonic Adventure 2, Skies of Arcadia, because it is the best JRPG of all time ever, and nobody has made a better JRPG since, both mechanics or story-wise, in my opinion. I would... Let's see, that's only 2 games. I put Grandia 2 on there, because that's also a fantastic RPG with a wonderful battle system. I'd put both Shenmue games. Yeah, I'd put both Shenmue games on it. That's 5. Shenmue 1 and 2. And that's like enough content and awesome games for like a year or more. So if it was like also like a Stranded Island thing or something, like that would keep me going.
Power Stone 1 and 2.
Oh fuck! I forgot those. No, I take that back. Give me Power Stone. Give me Power Stone 1 over Power Stone 2. Replace Shenmue 2 with Shenmue 1. And I'd put Power Stone on that list. I edit my list. Thank you, Mike. I forgot one of the greatest. Once again, Capcom fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why has nobody done a Power Stone? They're the only ones to get fully 3D fighting correct. Like, I don't get it. How come nobody's copied it?
It's Capcom.
It's Capcom, yeah. And Skies of Arcadia is made by the same company that made...
Valkyria Chronicles. And before they did Valkyria Chronicles, they took a break and became the studio that did your Rogue Galaxy.
Did Rogue Galaxy, yeah.
They did it right after.
Studio 7.
Yeah, they did it right after.
You also need to give Ni no Kuni a shot, because that came from the exact same people.
As Rogue Galaxy?
Yeah.
Huh?
The people that did Rogue Galaxy are responsible for Ni no Kuni. And let me tell you what, Ni no Kuni
Yeah.
is a tearjerker of an RPG. It's like really, really good.
That's what people say. I just never got into it.
It reminds me of a Miyazaki film.
I think that's probably what everybody says, because it does look like that. Like some of the
art
Miyazaki
style-
artists work on it, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken?
I don't know, but like I said, the art style does not help it because it's definitely like a Miyazaki art style. It is definitely a Ghibli like feel to it.
That's so funny because there's a lot of that going around for the most recent Zelda Breath of the Wild. They're like, yeah, it looks really Miyazaki-y. I know it's not the same as your Ni no Kuni with the full cel-shaded art and all that sort of stuff. But like the designs of things, it's very Miyazaki.
I can see some similarities, but at the same time, it's like Zelda looks visually like distinct from it, I think.
I suppose. I don't know. Let's see what the internet thinks.
The internet doesn't know what the internet thinks. I don't know. See, that's the weird thing because like some of my most influential games that I like have ever played that really like affected me. I mean, I was a Nintendo kid, so I missed out on the mini NES because Nintendo doesn't actually like money.
Let's only make 7.
If Nintendo actually liked money, they would still be putting out mini NESs, as well as the upcoming mini SNESs. But yeah, Nintendo sadly does not like money.
You know, I don't actually think that. I think Nintendo's way smarter in terms of like their marketing and stuff than perhaps we think. I mean, obviously they've had missteps here, Wii U, but I think really it was a stroke of genius on their part to have this mini NES come out last Christmas, getting everybody's nostalgia thing and then Nintendo name like back in people's mindsets. Because if you think about it, they never really said the Nintendo Wii or the Nintendo Wii U in the last, 6 years, 7 years they've been doing the Wii train. And now they're like, oh, wait a minute, we kind of forgot our fucking brand that is instilled in every childhood's memories, like fucking Disney's Mickey Mouse. And so they got all of the old school people, and they're like, oh, hey, remember the NES? And then everybody's like, oh, shit, yeah, dude, let's get a NES. And then when they're like, oh, hey, the Nintendo Switch. Because I'll tell you what, like, Nintendo Switch, like, even though it's a small console, like, the Nintendo, like, in plastic on it is fucking huge compared to any other Nintendo product, everything. It's like, by the way, fucking Nintendo, son. Like, that's kind of the statement I feel they're making.
Just in case you didn't know, this is a Nintendo product.
Well, I mean, come on, it's like the old school freaking NES itself, emblazoned across the front. This is the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah. That's so funny. It's so funny that, like, all of the old consoles were always, like, had, like, a long line on it, you know, like the Sony Computer Entertainment System. Or the Sony Computer Entertainment Station, I think it was. And then, what did the Sega Genesis have on it? It was, like, Sega Genesis... I think it said 16-bit high definition.
Yeah. That's it. It was like 16-bit. Like they advertised like on the things like, "Hey, we got more bits.
Get these bits. Get them now."
Which I will say, like, you know, as per like the old console war, Genesis was purty. It was purty's balls. Nintendo couldn't touch like the definition to the Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But man, Genesis sound chips suck balls.
I completely disagree with you on that one.
I'm sorry. When we're comparing, like... Okay, I'm going to say this on the cross-platform items.
Cross-platform. Oh, okay. I will agree with you.
Like Lion King,
I agree.
Aladdin, stuff like that. I'm sorry, but that's when the Genesis... Like, Sonic games, on the other hand, had glorious soundtracks, and they sounded good. But anything that was cross-platform, no. Like, the Nintendo was the way to go because at least you'd have nicer sounds. Better visuals on the Genesis, but nicer sounds.
So, So I'm gonna be a total audiophile / nerd here for a minute. So I actually know a lot about the Sega Genesis sound chip versus the Super NES sound chip. So the reason like all of the Sega made games or the Sega exclusive games sounded way better than most of the Super NES stuff, but the cross-platform stuff sucked. With the exception of obviously things like the Final Fantasy games, the Castlevania games and stuff sounded amazing on the Super NES. And, obviously the Nintendo games sounded good too. But the reason, other than the fact that the Super NES came later and technically has more power, was Sega Genesis, you had to program on this really archaic, it was basically a computer terminal console, and it was called GEMS. I don't remember what it stands for. So you had to literally know both music theory and programming code in order to get it to sound as good as the Sonic games sounded. Whereas on the Super NES, it used actually a similar sound engine, but it was newer chipset. So they were allowed to use MIDI, which is, of course, musical interface, or musical, I forget what MIDI stands for.
I forget that acronym.
Anyway, MIDI, one of the oldest formats still used today for programming music because it's binary. It's ones and zeros. Universal in every musical program in the 21st century. Really. But the Super NES could do that. So you could not have this really crazy programmer, and you could input it into the Super NES, and it would produce reasonable music because it could utilize MIDI, whereas the Sega Genesis couldn't. But if you programmed it correctly, it would sound better.
Yeah.
All right, I'm off my high horse. Continue.
I was about to say, that was the same downfall as the PS3, actually. That's why a lot of games performed a lot better, like cross-platforming games performed a lot better on 360.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though, again, the PS3 was technically the newer technology, Sony decided to go with a very unique and hybridized CPU chip that was a nightmare for developers to develop on. Which is why, PS3, like, exclusive games like, God of War, and crap like that, looked amazing and such, but, like I said, cross-platform games performed better on 360.
So Des, what would your system be?
But like I said, all this, that, sadly, like, all of my most influential games I've put, like, on a little miniature thing to play are all PC games. Like, we're talking, like, Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight. We're talking X-Wing versus TIE
Jedi
Fighter.
Knight's
We're talking
great, man.
The original XCOM. Like, XCOM Terror from the Deep. Screw it, Warcraft 2. Like, to round it out. Why not? I mean, or StarCraft, or Diablo. Like, anything from Blizzard from the mid-90s was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But those are, like, some of the...
That's entirely true.
Yeah. So, I mean... Which, nothing's changed in Blizzard now, anyway. But,
Well, they did that, or is that out yet, or not out yet? The StarCraft HD remaster?
Yeah, that's out. I actually have that downloaded because it was... I don't know if it's still free, but it was free. And as soon as... Because co-founder on our Discord, like, messaged me. It's like, dude, this is free. And I'm like, downloading now. So
yeah, I've downloaded the shit out of that. Is it free? Fuck yeah.
It was for at least a day.
Damn.
I cannot confirm if it is now, but it's on my computer, so I don't really care anymore. But
fair enough.
But no, it's literally. I mean, it runs just as it does. It's like Planescape Torment does for me. It's just they literally haven't really touched the graphics. They still look crappy, but it's exactly how you remember it. And it is StarCraft.
What do you mean they still look crappy? Because so my understanding of StarCraft, because I am a StarCraft guy, even though I haven't played in a while, is so the original StarCraft has been playable on modern machines for a while because they made a shell program that helped it play on newer things by emulating some of the older PC hardware.
Yeah.
I know on the Mac it was called Carbon. I'm not sure what it was on Windows. And then they made an HD remaster where it's the same code with an updated engine running new art. So are we talking about the same thing, or are you just talking about the OG version being free?
It could be well. I mean, it said HD remaster, or it said remaster, but it's I think. Holy crap! Where's the thing on my desktop now? Oh Jesus! Blizzard is under StarCraft S. Oh Jesus Christ! Why does technology never works for me? I needed to. StarCraft. Oh jeez, where did this thing go? Ah, crap. Can't remember, but it runs... I'm going to say it doesn't feel like it runs emulated.
Okay.
Like, it is a more natural feeling game. It feels exactly as the original StarCraft did, and I am the type of person that has run, like, I installed, like, the original XCOM and XCOM Terror from the Deep on machines like Windows 2000 machines, and like I know what it feels like to run outdated software, and even software that has basically an emulation frame that allows it to work on current machines. This doesn't quite feel that way. Like I said, it just feels very natural.
Gotcha.
Because even for things like the collect PC Gamer, like one of my favorite episodes, like magazines of PC Gamer had like a collector's edition, like re-release of XCOM, like for free on the disc, and like just a crap ton, like 20 free games on a CD, like just from classic PC gaming, which of course I had to buy because it's like, Jesus Christ, you're paying like $10 for like 20 like classic games, and one of them was XCOM, so it's like, yes. But even though it was like kind of redone, like I said, it still like ran faster, like just at a base. But like I said, this StarCraft, this actually runs at like its old speed. It feels like old StarCraft.
Groovy.
Danfinity sent the question, what merchandise from D2 are you most excited for?
Like physical?
Yeah.
You mean like all the deals that Bungie's making?
No, like all for me it's the Funko Pops because I collect them. The Todd McFarlane action figures. I guess that's what kind of merchandise he's talking about. All I know is the Funko Pops and the action figures, and I'll collect the Funko Pops before the action figures personally.
Yeah. Probably not. But that's just, I don't know. I'm weird about like collectibles. Like if I get back into collectibles, it's going to be like, another like subscription. I was part of a subscription box, and I have a crap ton of like very nifty memorabilia from like old and new gaming. Mm. So probably nothing like as specified as that. Because the only thing I regret missing out on is actually shelling out for the collector's edition of Destiny and getting the Ghost replica. Okay. That's the only thing I'm kind of sad I missed out on. But
yeah, I missed out on that one too, buddy.
Yeah, maybe some Funkos, but that's not going to be high on the priority list.
Yeah. Tim.
I'm not exactly aware of what all merchandising except for so I was actually a big fan of I think it was Red Bull that they ran with the Taken King for bonus experience and stuff. Because I like Red Bull and all that stuff. However, this year they're doing Rockstar, and I have a lot of dietary restrictions. Mm-hmm. So like Rockstar I can have, like the regular ones, and a couple of the other ones. So I'm actually really excited because like I get Rockstars like to get me through work. So I'm like, bonus! So I'm excited for that, actually. I know it's weird, but whatever.
I don't know. I'm actually super excited for the fact that the D2 stuff is popping up everywhere. I'm actually super excited for that, and I'm happy for that.
Sure.
Yeah, they're on Pop-Tarts. They're on the back of Pop-Tarts.
Oh, that hurts me because I can't eat Pop-Tarts anymore. So I'm just like, oh. I want pop shirts so bad.
But not like there's a lot of people out there that are getting up in arms about all the pretty much brand deals that Bungie's like reaching out for, and all I see
money
for like Destiny 2 is a revenue stream.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm seeing is Bungie reaching out, and they are looking to get more cash flow coming in. It's like this is like the step of them becoming something serious, basically on their own. Because technically they're still an independent developer. They haven't quite reached a AAA status. They're like in this weird growing period.
I feel that's kind of a weird statement to say for Bungie, considering they're like, 800 strong or something?
Okay, and 800 is like the devs for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, but that's Blizzard.
But yeah, that's like... okay, how about Final Fantasy 14?
Yeah, but that's... I don't know. I guess
AAA.
I disagree with your point. They've been AAA since Halo. Whether they're owned or not. I mean, they're butt buddies with Activision, so I don't see how they're any less AAA.
No. I mean, their quality has been AAA. I see where you're getting, like, what I'm saying confused, but I'm saying, like, their size. That's like Ninja Theory that just came out with Hellblade. They made a AAA game. That game only had a development team of, like, 20 or 30 people.
Okay, so are we qualifying AAA game by the quality or how many developers?
Whenever I say that Bungie was an independent developer until now, I'm talking more their size, because it is ridiculous the scope of a game they took on for their size. Because when they started Destiny, that was like, 2, maybe 300 pushing it employees at Bungie?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a lot for a game team, though.
No.
I disagree. But I get what you're saying.
No, I'm talking, like I said, whenever I see, like, it's like, look at Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
In order to have, or even not just like the stereotypical Call of Duty, like, style, but for the longest time, Assassin's Creed did the exact same thing, where they had 3 different development teams pumping out a game a year.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But here's Bungie trying to accomplish the same thing with one team.
But that's not true anymore, though. Destiny 2,
I'm not talking about Destiny 2. I'm talking about Destiny.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying is, like, with all of this reaching out for more funding, it's them growing into something more is what I was trying to portray.
Okay.
So Des, you're looking at it as the size of the team. Tim, you're looking at it as the content of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So well, like I said, moving into Destiny 2, like seeing, because I mean, good Lord, they're getting into the point in time now where they're giving like crazy titles to people like Ritual Manager and crap like that. I mean, they're definitely growing. They've been growing since they really wanted to institute the live team with Taken King. But it's like with all of this reaching out though for like funding and crap, it's really, like I said, it's like that step forward. Like, I know a lot of people don't like it because a lot of people see it as, you know, something great. Some people making a big deal about the Europe exclusive Sparrow. Well, how come people didn't make a big deal about the GameStop pre-order exclusive Sparrow? That if you didn't pre-order GameStop, I didn't see that Sparrow anywhere else. I mean, sure. But it's like these brand deals are creating like an entirely new layer of income before the game is even coming out and before microtransactions can even attempt to sustain it. So it's like a very active step for Bungie right now.
Okay. I get what you're saying. There's just some confusion as well. I got you. I'm tracking.
I have a tendency not to explain things well.
He has no time to explain.
Yes.
I just realized. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, you don't have to. I don't have to apologize because I loved that guy when it came out.
Game Boy Jones once to talk about the rise of competitive gaming.
Okay.
What about the?
I mean, it's been around.
I think he's
for a
talking
while.
about like in
Recently,
general. There's
yeah.
a competitive component in video games, as well as if you look at all of the esports that have been bought by like major sports corporations. There's like teams that have been bought for Overwatch by baseball owners, and I think the New England Patriots bought a fucking Overwatch team this year. Rocket League, which is close to my heart because I love Rocket League. They are getting the first ever primetime sports placement on NBC this fall. Actually, I think it's actually the end of August is the first open national Rocket League tournament, and it's going to be live televised on a primetime channel, not a G4, not a Twitch, even though there are still those things, surprisingly. Like, it's going to be on their sports section right next to whatever other sports occur in August.
Football.
So I think the rise is it's funny. I remember reading the article on the Rocket League thing specifically because I was like, oh, holy shit, Rocket League is going to be fucking on primetime TV. That's amazing. And NBC had a statement about it. I think it's NBC. Don't quote me if that's the wrong network. It's one of the ABC networks, you know what I mean? And they stated, we get Rocket League. We get that it's very competitive, and we feel that that's a good entryway for us to maybe grow more esports out into other people onto national TV, because we feel that even the casual person understands Rocket League. There's fucking cars and rockets and a ball and 2 goals. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then in terms of like intense teams like Overwatch, there's probably, I don't know, I think it's probably part of the, and I'm not an Overwatch fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's part of, it's quick, there's a team play element to it. I think Destiny 2, in terms of that, is definitely trying more in that area, most likely. A good example of that would be Destiny 1 with Trials of Cyrus, and of course, Iron Banner being highly competitive. And then other things. I mean, if you look at competitive gaming, America is really kind of actually not the leader in this. Like, if you go to China or you go to especially Korea, there's still fucking StarCraft 1 tournaments over in Korea.
Well, that depends on the category.
Yeah.
Sure.
It highly depends on the category, because, I mean, Counter-Strike has been a competitive thing pretty much since its inception.
That's true. That's true.
COD has been has had a competitive scene for a while.
But Counter-Strike actually predates it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is, I mean, a lot of people, I can see like where people are saying is like, oh my god, competitive is actually becoming a thing now. It's not. It's becoming very public now, and the world is starting to recognize it, which is bringing it to a lot of people's attentions. But yeah, competitive focusing games are actually older than you think. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, that's like one thing that blew up fighting games. I mean, the EVO tournament, which is starting to become a huge name in gaming in general. Right. The evolution, the biggest fighting stage there is, was actually started in California in the late 90s. Like, it actually started to blow up because in 2004, thanks to EVO Moment number 37, also known as the Daigo Parry, which is an incredibly hype thing to watch. I suggest everyone YouTube EVO Moment number 37. It's an amazing third strike clip, and made the career for both Justin Wong and Daigo the Beast Umahara. But yeah, it's just been, I mean, it's been there, it's now becoming a thing that a lot of people are focusing on, a lot of people are seeing. But yeah, the mindset of it though that's just been, like I say, you're just now seeing it. It's been there for a minute.
I mean, for me, I watched a lot of the competitive Black Ops 2 back in the day, and then Call of Duty's kind of drifted away. I can watch competitive PvP and Destiny. I mean, it's fun to watch. Like Lumia go crazy at this year's Guardian Con. But the most recent thing, I've obviously Paladins. I'm gonna preface it by saying I've watched all of the DreamHack, the entire DreamHack event. I watched from beginning to end. I watched the PC and the console versions, and I mean, it's just fun to watch now. I mean, it's also the game you're into. But I don't get I always say I'm not competitive in Destiny. I just have fun playing PvP in Destiny. But now I know why people can get competitive, because I'm super competitive in Paladins. Like, I don't like losing. It sucks. I get mad when people don't play the role.
Yeah,
I remember, bro.
Yeah, that is like Halo. Halo has a huge pedigree in the comp scene, and hilariously, I think I've mentioned it once before in a very, very old episode. Hilariously, Halo on console predates both COD and Battlefield.
Yep.
True. Very true.
And like, what made Halo like special for a console shooter? Like, COD and Battlefield has basically been ripping them off for a very long time.
Yeah. To be completely fair to COD, even though I'm not a COD fan, Call of Duty 1 was on PC. But if we're talking strictly consoles, Call of Duty 2 totally ripped off Halo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was actually very shocked, because I know Call of Duty and Battlefield were a thing before Halo, but they were PC games. And, like, I think World War II games at the time, or World War I.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like, Halo came out, and it's like, oh, wow, this is, like, doing a thing. And then, like, COD and Battlefield are starting to get on console as well, and, like, that became, like, their thing now.
I just read the next question, because I don't read them. I just kind of, like, put them in a file, and I don't want to have to think about them ahead of time, because doing them live. Oh God,
this show planning.
This one's so good.
Hit me.
Lazarus the Lich writes, "I'm interested in your ability to survive. Tell me, if you were trapped in a haunted mansion with killer ghosts, how would you escape?"
Say a holiday mansion?
A haunted
haunted
mansion.
That makes more sense.
A holiday mansion. I don't know. Eat candy cane and open presents. A haunted mansion depends on, like, if you're with a group, don't ever separate. That's the first rule of any.
I'm sorry, but screw everyone if there's any sign of malicious intent. I'm jumping out of a freaking window and leaving you all behind.
I'm Scooby-Dooing the shit out of it. I'm out. There's gonna be a hole in the wall the shape of Buster Knuckle like this. I
learned a very valuable lesson from my very loving older brother, who is 12 years older than me. We used to enjoy, like, going to the zoo and watching the animals, because we lived like 10 minutes away, his apartment was like 10 minutes away from the zoo, so it, like, became a weekend thing. We'd hang out, go to the zoo, eat their barbecue, because barbecue was amazing. Listen to the lions roar. Made mention one time, we made it to the cheetah exhibit, and it was like, wow, these suckers can go from 0 to 60 in like 5 strides. That's fast. My brother looks at me and goes, yeah, the funny thing is, I don't have to outrun it.
I
just have to outrun you. It's like, thanks. Thanks, buddy. I love you too.
I mean, mine's a stupid, obvious answer, but I'm going to call the fucking Ghostbusters. I mean, like, I think it says it all. I mean, who are you going to call? I'm going to call the fucking Ghostbusters.
I would make a boring...
Just not the ones from that movie from last year.
Yeah, I would be like I would be like a short film, basically. It's like there's like a knife hovering in the air. Yep, I'm gone. I'm out. See you. I don't care if I'm leaving anything. I'm gone.
Just walk in, get out. All right, I'm out.
See you.
I'm
done.
Can you open the door you slam shut? Can you do that? Let me the fuck out of here.
Yeah. See you. Bye.
The second I see someone who's not there for someone else, gone. Lights, camera, action, gone. I don't need anything. Grab my dog, grab my PlayStation. Come on, babe, we're out. Let's go. Everything else can be regotten. I can't get my life back if a demon decides it wants to have me strapped to a chair while playing tiptoe through the tulips while sharpening its claws. No, I'm out. Fuck all this. I don't go camping. I don't go in the ocean. I don't go in haunted mansions. Okay? No. Speaking of the beach, did you guys see in Australia there's bugs that eat people? Did you see that?
Bugs that...
It was like sea fleas or something. That's what they call them.
Yeah, my employee / coworker and old longtime friend just came back to the States after working there for 5 years. He says, yeah, no, legitimately, there are fucking spiders the size of a wall and snakes that'll kill you and giant bees. He's like, every fucking corner. Like, you got to be careful. He said you have to be careful of shadows of power lines because black mambas like to lay in them and strike at people.
Jesus.
I'm just like, you got to be fucking afraid of shadows? Are you joking right now?
I mean, legitimately, also, like, Australia is home to, like, the top 5 most venomous snakes in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that? Some dumb thing like that? It's like, you're inhabiting a continent that wants to destroy you. No. And that and kangaroos are dicks, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've never punched a kangaroo or anything, nor do I intend to. But
I've seen a video of someone that did it.
yeah, there's a lot of them.
Oh my god. There's 520 species of spiders around Australia.
We could just stop talking about spiders. Yeah. Like, terrify me. Like, anytime there's spiders in a game, I'm like fucking out, man. Like, do you have any idea how hard the first major boss in Resident Evil 1 was for me? Fuck off.
I guess that would be the best way to bring this episode to a close, because Tim, I know you said you have an appointment you have to keep, and this episode's almost 3 hours, which I promised over 2.5. It's fine. As we now know, the first time something scary happens, we're all out. It's not going to be us three like, I wonder what's downstairs. The door just opened. We should go in the basement where there might be a killer. No.
We should split up and go deeper into the darkness. No, I'm gone.
Buster, we're out. Say it. We're out.
You know what's a great experience for that? Resident Evil 7 and fucking PSVR.
No.
Fucking the most terrifying video game I have ever played, and I like horror video games. In VR, it's a whole other fucking story, bro.
I've learned I cannot handle convincing horror games because Dead Space freaked me out.
The eyeball scene.
To the point. It wasn't
Dead
even
Space.
that.
It's my favorite survivor horror series, period.
Well, you see, that's the thing, because I was playing the first one, and I have yet to actually get around to finishing any of it. I'm talking like within the first few chapters. What happened is there's a section, it's like there's a bunch of, quote-unquote dead necromorphs laying around.
No.
And, of course, I saw the trap coming, because, of course, they look dead, but no, they're not. It's like freaking Chekhov's gun. It's like I do a thing in this hallway, and then I come back out, and they're going to pop alive. Oh, yep, they did. What I didn't anticipate was one of these little suckers running away. Mm-hmm. Okay, curious. That's cool. I turn a corner just in time to see its legs crawl into a vent and just vanish, and I said, nope, I'm out. I'm done. I'm done with this game.
Speaking of RNG, that is the greatest thing about Dead Space. Even though, other games have monster closets, Dead Space has a vent system that any room, you know where the vents are, and maybe they escaped in there and they're going to pop out in another thing and blindside you. That's the Dead Space way.
So I was actually legitimately terrified for a reason. Huh.
Yeah, no, it's part of the gameplay mechanic.
Like seeing that and just the idea of it possibly still lurking there, it's like, no, I'm done with this game. I'm done. Mm-hmm. Which was incredibly heartbreaking to my wife because she loves horror stuff and watching me play that, and she still laughs at me for that. I love you, baby.
I'm out.
Going. Yeah, I was out with that game. I cut it off, and it's like, nope, I'm done.
But like I said, that brings this episode to a close. The RNG way. We always like to say we're closing, and then something else happens. We talk about it. Tim,
I taught you well.
you did. Thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, your stuff, your Twitters, your anything you want to plug?
Sure.
One last
So
time.
once again, I'm author, podcaster, gamer, Tim K.A. Trotter. You can find my book, The Citadel, on Amazon Kindle and iTunes iBookstore for only $2.99. Buy a book, support my efforts. None of those proceeds go to this show because this is not my show. The Podfather birthed this show in conjunction with Buster Knuckle. But you can find all my stuff at www.dynamicworksproductions.com for my Marvel podcast, Rising Tide, a Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. You can find that there, as well as the Fork in Your Ear podcast, which was co-founded by Buster Knuckle as well. If you want to connect with me online, I'm Tim_T on Twitter. Linux is the Demon, all one word, capital L, on PlayStation Network. Tim Space T on Xbox Live. Insert whatever here for Nintendo Online. And and I'm on Facebook business pages and all sorts of stuff as well with both that name as well as my media company, Dynamic Works Productions.
Go ahead, Des.
And this is your boy Raven. You can find me on Twitter at DES_Raven, and you search me on YouTube at Death Switch Raven.
You can find me, Buster Knuckle, on Twitter at BusterKnuckle13. That's BusterKnuckle13. And on Twitch, twitch.tv/Buster_Knuckle, and just search Buster Knuckle on YouTube. You can find this podcast, the RngCast, at the RngCast on Twitter, and you can email us, the RngCast@gmail.com. We love hearing from everyone. If you feel like you love the show and you want to support us, you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/the RngCast, and pledge any amount of money you wish. We have some tiers that offer amazing little gifts and trinkets, special edition podcast, the podcast early, shout outs, a bunch of stuff, working on some other things. And that being said, this is the RngCast. We're out.
Later, man.
Peace.
See you all next week. And yes, I did pull my ear, Biz. I promised.